Have you ever thought about how fast everyone else wants you to be? More quickly, more quickly. Healing goes faster. You feel like you're falling behind if you don't keep up, like your life isn't going well. What if I told you that was the biggest lie you've ever been told? Your mind, heart, and peace are being broken by your hurrying. The real power and freedom come from something that no one talks about anymore: waiting. Not just the kind of patience that helps you wait nicely, but changes everything in your life. The kind that makes you stronger when everyone else is scared. The kind that lets you breathe when everyone else is under a lot of stress. The kind that makes you unbeatable in a way that no one else notices. You will learn something tonight that most people will never understand. It's not hard to understand. But because being patient really feels like going against the flow in a world that loves speed, when you wake up tomorrow, you'll have something very rare in this world: a calm mind, a brave heart, and a life that finally feels like it's yours. Are you all set? Let's start. If waiting is the quiet power that everyone forgot about, then where does it start? Not at the end. Not until everything works out in the end. It starts with waiting. In that nervous time between starting something and seeing how it turns out. The spot where most people freak out, give up, break out, or distract themselves. It's right in the middle of growth, though, where real peace is made, even though nothing is certain. That's where we begin. For the most part, people are only at ease when they know how things will end. They want the end, the proof, and the clear slate. But that doesn't happen very often in real life. You can get halfway to your dream. It can take months to fully heal. A discussion can end without an answer. What about the mind? That makes it angry. It wants to know what to do next, get the answer, and reach the end. It tries to rush, tense up, control, and worry its way through the gap. Buddhism, on the other hand, teaches something very different. The time between purpose and result is not a mistake. There is no wait. It's not a time mistake. It's the real thing to do. That's where you meet the parts of yourself that only show up when things are uncertain. You can still care even if you're waiting without wanting something. It means you should let go. It means you don't keep pushing progress to show itself. You let it happen at its own pace. Picture a seed in the ground. Roots are getting bigger before you see a sprout. But if you dig it up every day to see how it's doing, you stop the growth you want to see. That's how life is. So many people destroy the peace by keeping too close to the plants they've put down. Even though they say they're waiting, something inside them is asking, why hasn't it happened yet? We will suffer because of that whisper. We start to deal with the moment more and more as we listen to it. If this goes well, I'll calm down. Or, if I get that answer, I'll be calm. Aren't ways to find real peace. It stays in the middle, even when it's true what will happen. How do you do it? How can you wait without giving in to your cravings? First, by becoming aware of the deals you've made in your mind. You might be telling yourself, I don't mind waiting, as long as it doesn't take too long. That's not being patient. That sounds like a running clock, but is actually noise. Buddhism does not teach you how to act patient. It shows you how to get rid of the timer completely. The first thing you do is sit with the pain of not knowing. You don't push it away. You don't take your mind off things. You just breathe into it. What if it never works out? You think as the thoughts rise. How could I waste my time? What if I look stupid? And you don't answer them, you just watch them. That's because those questions don't really want answers. They want to see if you're there. May I stay? Can you stay when all of your fears hit you like darts in your head? That's where the train goes. When everything is going as planned, it's easy to wait. The real test comes when things are a mess, when you don't get a reply, when the outcome is late, when you can't see the progress. That's when the old self, the one that needs power, confidence and speed, wants to take over. But that self is made of fear, and patience takes it apart piece by piece. You're building something stronger than control every time you sit in that awkward silence and don't try to rush it. You're making people trust you, not just hope. Don't be toxically positive, but a strong belief that something holy is happening, even if there are no answers. This is why a lot of people give up just before things change, not because they're weak, but because they didn't learn how to deal with the middle ground. They learned to look for dopamine instead of peace. They learned to value speed over being there. The Buddhist road, on the other hand, turns everything around. It teaches that the most important times to grow are when there is nothing going on around you. It's just you, your breath, and the stillness of not yet. That's where your mind wants to go. There, hunger tries to take over the moment, and you are sitting right there, not to win, not to fix, to be. You can still want good things even after you let go of your cravings. It means that getting them doesn't have to hold your happiness hostage anymore. You become aware of how much energy you waste worrying about outcomes. You start to notice how desire takes you out of the present moment and tells you that this moment isn't enough. But when you really understand this, the craving starts to break down. You don't have to push it away. It stops being strong. You are no longer responding to it. You are now just watching it. And things that are watched lose their power. In other words, don't wait for the moment to end. Begin to enjoy the present moment as it is. Things don't have to stop while you wait. It might feel like being there. There's nothing wrong with the stress. It means that someone wants your full attention, how open you are, your bravery to stop trying to get away from it. Because the result doesn't own you once you know you can be calm without knowing what will happen. That's real freedom. This is also where identity is called into question. A lot of people base their sense of self-worth on what they end, make, or finish. But Buddhism asks, what if the part of you that isn't finished is already complete? What if being in the process isn't a failure, but a holy state? Things don't work like that in real life. That's why this road is different. You learn not to judge success by how quickly something happens, but by how fully you're present in it. It doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Some days you won't feel anything different. That's fine. Some nights your thoughts will be heavy because nothing has been solved yet. Part of the training is to do that. You're not just learning to wait, you're also learning how to live without proof, without always needing proof that something is working. This is how you build a deep calm that doesn't break when things take longer than planned. Because you are no longer bound by time. You are in touch with the truth of the present moment, which is always now. Promises of the future feed craving. It's always looking for the next thing, hit, or prize. Life doesn't owe us that, though. It's interesting that when you stop asking for it, you start getting it. You finally have open hands instead of clenched ones. Not because you tricked the world into giving it to you. You are no longer holding on, you're getting. After a while, the space between where you started and where you want to go starts to feel like home instead of jail. Someone who has stood in a hallway waiting for a door to open knows how tense it can be. You look at your phone. You walk slowly. You want the wait to be over. What if that hallway is the class, though? What if the really important thing is not what you do when the door opens, but how you stand there, how you breathe, how you get softer? Do you want to stop asking, when? And ask yourself, how present can I be with this right now? That's not a sleepy life. That one is awake. Some people will not get why you're so cool when things are not done. It's going to be called separation. They'll call it being lazy. But they won't be able to see how still you are. They won't understand how strong it is to not chase, cling, or crave. The world doesn't recognize inner strength. That's why. It likes outside noise. Buddhism isn't meant to reward you, though. It's meant to set you free. You can begin with little, not swearing while waiting in traffic. You're in line and not looking at your phone. Let someone finish their thought without practicing what you're going to say next. You break the habit of being impatient every time you do this. You are no longer giving in to the monster of desire that screams, now, now, now. You are telling it, this is enough. This moment is also important. It's fine if you don't get it right away. It's not about being perfect. It's about not giving up. There are times when it's dull, uncomfortable, or unsure, but you choose to stay in the present moment. That is the right way to go. It also leads to more than just results. It makes you strong. The kind that doesn't break when things take longer than planned. The kind of person who can sit still and hear the sound of peace even when nothing is solved. Don't run the next time you're in the middle, between hope and result, between work and prize. Take your time. Take a break there. It's not easy, but because it's holy. That place you want to get away from? That's the way to the patience that will help you get through everything that's coming up. When you rest in times that aren't finished, you learn how to stay when your mind wants to run. Your tongue is another hidden battlefield that most people don't even notice. In the split second between what someone says and what you say, a whole world of peace or chaos can happen. A lot of people don't know it. They talk and act too quickly, and they use words like weapons without realizing the harm they do. Buddha taught a very important lesson. Strength doesn't always come from what you say, but not in what you say yet. Speech has power. You can't take it back once it's out of your mouth. You lose your own peace when you speak quickly, whether you're angry, scared, or proud. You give up knowledge for impulsivity. Delaying speech doesn't just mean being quiet for the sake of being quiet. It's about keeping the space between stimulus and reaction safe. It's about giving your mind enough space to breathe so that you can choose a reaction that comes from clarity instead of chaos. This is because every time you wait before answering, you train your mind as well as your mouth. Most of the time, the smallest things are the ones that mean the most in everyday life. Someone makes fun of you. Someone doesn't get you. You don't have to give an answer when they ask. And the old habit wants to defend, attack, explain, and excuse right away. Your urge to speak up is just a way to stay alive. Getting by isn't the same as being wise, though. Feel the heat rise in your chest and the need to prove yourself. But don't move right away. That's what Buddhism is all about. Not to throw the fire, but to hold it. The break is like magic. You can make a choice during that short wait. You can act the same way you always do, lash out, fight, and get worse. Or you can let the moment bloom like a flower. You can feel the feeling without letting it take over your life. Is what I'm about to say true? Is something you can ask yourself. Do you need it? Kindness? The answers to these 3 questions come from very old Buddhist teachings. They are not just moral suggestions, they are tools against pointless pain. True delayed speech doesn't mean keeping your words from people. When you wait until the thought is clear enough, you can offer it in a way that helps, not hurts. When you talk from a place of anger, you only make the fire grow. When you speak from the silence of understanding, you throw seeds instead of grenades. So, a slow reaction isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of supreme intelligence. It's the skill of making decisions when everyone else is stuck in automatic mode. This is something you can do every day. To begin, pay attention to the first things that come to mind when you're upset. Do not judge them. Do not feel bad about yourself. Pay attention. What does it taste like? Is it defense? Is it an attack? Is it fear? It gives you power just to look at the taste. You can see the feeling from a bigger picture instead of being stuck in it. You can make a different choice after seeing it. Delayed speech can look like just taking a moment to think before answering. That breath isn't empty. It's a bridge. This part of you works as a link between your old self and your new self. Being wise can whisper things to you that anger would never let you hear. This slow grace is a big change in a world that loves quick comebacks and smart clapbacks. It may only be a second or two, so don't be fooled. It doesn't need to be crazy. You don't have to wait 10 minutes in awkward quiet. It only takes one deep breath, a small drop of the shoulders, and a quiet check-in with yourself to change the tone of a talk. I think the more you practice, the more you'll realize how much pain rushed words cause. This could have stopped a lot of fights. There were so many situations that could have been fixed. You could have stopped yourself from hurting yourself so many times by waiting a little longer before opening your mouth. But this isn't just about peace with other countries. It's also about peace inside. You're taking care of your nervous system every time you slow your speech in a smart way. When you speak out of anger, you make yourself more angry as well as the other person. Your heart beats fast. Your body gets tighter. You feel like you have a lot of mistakes. But when you stop, even for a short time, you protect yourself. Don't let people drag you into storms you didn't start, or at least don't add to them. Zen Buddhism says that one of the 8 steps on the Noble Eightfold Path, which leads to the end of pain, is to speak wisely. And being wise doesn't just mean saying the truth. When to speak and why to speak are important parts of this. Sometimes you should not speak at all. When it comes from strength and not fear, silence is one of the best ways to talk. And here's the bigger secret. Speaking slowly doesn't just help you avoid arguments. It also makes your love stronger. When someone you care about says something that makes you angry, you might want to correct them, protect yourself, or shut down. Pause, though, and let the first hurt rise and fall without responding. This will open a door. You take away walls so that understanding can grow where there were once walls. This subject is like teaching a wild horse how to walk. At first, your mind jumps around and wants to go crazy. I hate having to wait. It hates not being able to share every feeling right away. But with care and time, it gets softer over time. It learns how to hold still for a little longer. As you sit still, you can see the real you, not the one who acts out of habit or out of fear. That's the you who can choose. When someone talks to you, the first words that come to mind are often hurtful, not wise. But if you wait, even if it's just a heartbeat, your knowledge has time to catch up. That's a wonderful gift. Thanks. In order to talk to that person, as you talk to more people, you build a better world. Delaying words also helps you listen better, which you might not have known. You hear things you would have missed if you were in a hurry to answer. The pain that makes someone angry, the fear that made someone attack, the loneliness that makes someone cocky. You can feel the other person when you're not busy planning your next line. It's sometimes better to just feel them than to say anything. Being inactive isn't part of Buddhism. It has to do with being strong in a new way, not power over other people, but power over your own thoughts. The power to control how you act. Being able to speak slowly is like having a sword when everyone else can only throw stones. Power that doesn't make noise. It's power of yourself. It will be hard at first, for sure. Even if you bite your mouth, the words will still come out. The heat will rise, and you'll want to speak up, correct, or protect so badly. It's pretty amazing if you can keep that heat in without letting it catch fire, though. It's possible that these patterns have been going on for generations. You won't teach them the same ways of reacting that caused so much pain in the past. Over time, you'll realize something amazing. When you stop responding automatically, people stop expecting you to. The conversations get less tense. There is more trust. Respect grows. It's not because you control the talk, but because you show up. You become the calm in the storm. Everything changes when it's quiet. In the deepest sense, waiting to speak is an act of kindness. Kindness toward yourself. Don't feel bad about saying things you didn't mean. Compassion for others, not to add to their pain by showing your own. Feeling compassion for the space between two people where a few words can heal or hurt them. Before you speak, remember that every second you wait and every breath you take is a vote for peace over chaos. There is a seed there in the ground of knowledge. What about those seeds? They grow into strong, patient, and clear woods that not even the worst storm can destroy. You are good enough as it is. Just take a break, to pick, to wait. A quiet, unwavering strength comes from saying only when your heart is ready, not a moment before. Most people never even get to taste this kind of power. You can learn how strong a few seconds can be by learning to pause before you speak. However, what if the real key to being very patient isn't found in the big moments? What if it's hidden in the smallest cracks of the day, the ones that are so small that most people don't even notice them? If you can learn to be patient one heartbeat at a time, then you'll have real control where almost no one is looking. Most people think that being patient means getting through tough times, like waiting for a job offer, staying strong through heartbreak, or staying calm in a crisis. Those are important, but they're only the top. Patience's real roots are buried deep where no one can see them. Anger starts to show up in those split seconds. When you have a quick flash, your mind wants to move quickly. It happens when coffee brews for too long, when the lift takes too long, when the customer in front of you leaves their wallet at the register. That is where you should really train, and you'll miss 90% of the road if you miss those times. Micro-patience isn't very exciting. It doesn't feel brave, but it changes the way your nerve system works from the inside out. Every little time you practice waiting a little while without responding builds up a deeper sense of calm. It's the same as putting strength into a secret tank. The drops that will one day become the ocean you float on when life really tests you. The mind doesn't like short pauses. That thing says, this is useless, annoying, and doesn't matter. But it does. You'll be ready for the big delays if you know how to handle the small ones. How will you be able to wait 6 months for healing if you can't wait an extra 30 seconds at a red light without getting angry? How can you stand being on hold for 3 minutes if you can't stand the unknown of a dream still happening? The mind does what it does over and over again. If it acts impatient 100 times a day in little ways, it won't be able to stop being impatient when it matters. You wouldn't expect to run a race after years of sitting on the couch. Micro-patience is the practice of using the little things that happen every day as your gym. How do you begin? First, you change your attention. You start to see everyday life not as a long list of annoying things to do, but as a field full of chances. Now, even a small wait is a chance to learn. Every line, every slow page, and every please hold is a hidden chance to practice. You don't have to look for tasks that test your patience. Every single day, life gives them to you right away. If you feel your stress level rising, your foot tapping, your sigh escaping, or your fingers drumming, stop, feel it, look at it. Do not push it down. Don't act like it's not there. Let the anger come up, peak, and go away without chasing it, not giving it food. There is micro-patience in that moment, in that simple act. It's also stronger than it seems. Mindfulness in Buddhism means being able to see things clearly without judging them. Being aware while moving is what micro-patience is. Seeing the urge to rush, calling it out, and then choosing silence instead. No, not because you're having to, not because you act like you don't care. You know the truth, though. Running won't make life go by faster. It won't get easier to wait if you complain. Time feels lighter only when you're there. Also, keep in mind that micro-patience is not the same as losing your mind. You don't need to act like you love waiting. Sometimes things will slow down without you having to put on a fake smile. Just being aware of the pain without having it control you is enough. To breathe even though it's tight. To make something soft where it wants to get hard. To keep your mind open even when you want to close it. One powerful method is to keep your attention on your breath during short breaks. Are you stuck at a red light? Feel the breath going in and out. Having to wait for your tea to steep? Pay attention to how heavy you are on the floor. Waiting for customer service? You can feel air going in and out of your nose. You stay put with these small changes. They turn minutes that would have been lost into practice time. And after a while, your brain starts to connect delay with calmness instead of anger. The minutes go by, but something changes inside you. It's also important to change the way you tell yourself the story. For short delays, most people say things like, "This is a waste of time," or "This is so annoying." But you can pick different words. You can say things like, "This is where I practice patience," "This is where I train," or "This is where I grow." Language changes how people understand things. What you do changes if you change the story. You can even make it feel lighter. When you feel impatient coming on, smile. Laugh softly at how crazy the mind can get. It was determined that everything would go exactly as planned. It believed it had power over everything. You're now stuck behind a person who walks slowly. Isn't that a little funny? Laughter loosens up the ego. It helps you remember not to take your own anger so seriously. Delays don't always come from outside sources. They're inside. It takes longer than planned to do something. You lose some energy. Your feelings move more slowly than your plans. It's just as important to be patient with yourself. The real test starts when you fall down or when your progress is slower than your goals. Should you punish yourself in order to wait for your growth to happen? Can you be kind to yourself the way you're learning to be kind to others? When you practice micro-patience, you also find impatiences you didn't know you had. You are aware of how often you talk over other people, how often you eat quickly, how often you try to rush feelings that need time to develop. It's not a failure to see these trends. It's gold. You can change what you can see. Micro-patience changes you over the course of weeks and months. It gets easier to wait for a short time. The longer the waits get easier to handle. And when big things happen in your life, like an illness, a breakup, or a dream that you have to put off, you'll find that your heart doesn't break. For this, you've trained. In the quiet times that no one sees or applauds, you've been building up an unseen power. It will also keep you steady when it counts. At the end of the day, big brave acts don't teach patience. It's made up of small wins that you hardly notice. Take a deep breath at a time, one stop at a time, one hold up at a time. From the outside, no one might notice, but deep down, you'll know that you're no longer a slave to the clock, the rush, or yours. You have roots. You stay the same. You're free. True patience isn't something you get once and always have. Every day you grow it, little by little, moment by moment, in the little places that everyone else skips over. Later, you'll understand that the little things you almost missed were the ones that made a big difference in your life. Using micro-patience in your daily life helps you stay steady when things go wrong. What do you do when it's not storming outside? Why does it feel so bad on the inside when your mind is jumbled, your heart is heavy, and your thoughts are pulling you 100 different ways? A lot of people give up here. Their idea of waiting is that it should be calm. They think it should be clean to wait. To be truly patient, though, you have to be able to stay in the middle of your feelings without running away, shutting down, or getting angry. Deep down, under the dirty water, that's where real strength grows. No one talks about how ugly waiting can be at times, like having a mind that won't calm down, feelings that won't make sense, and fears that won't get out of their own way. It's also very tempting to call it a failure, to think, I'd be calm right now if I were really patient. But that's not true. Buddhism teaches that being patient doesn't mean waiting for things to get better. It needs you to stop telling it to go away. You have to be able to stay awake, breathe, and sit down in the muck of confusion. Picture the lotus flower. It doesn't grow in clear water. It grows in swamps that are thick, dark, and dirty. Most people would call the mud where its roots are located dirty, ugly, and useless. Still, something holy comes up from that mud. Being patient inside also works that way. It's not because life is neat and easy to plan. You have to learn how to sit in the middle of the unknown, the conflicts, and the mess, and still keep your center. A lot of people can only be patient when they're in charge. But patience seems to disappear when feelings get mixed up, like when sadness and anger mix, or when loss and anger mix. The mind wants to solve everything right away. It wants to know, it wants to be clear, it needs to fix. But to really grow, you often have to be in that emotional fog where you don't know what to do or how to get out, but you choose not to worry anyway. This doesn't make you numb or helpless. It means you learn to be patient in a way that doesn't need quick relief to stay stable. You learn to sit with your tight chest, your racing mind, and your painful questions. Instead of running away, you show yourself kindness. It's okay not to be okay right now is an easy way to get back to yourself. Because being confused isn't a mistake. It's something everyone goes through. It gets worse the more you try to fight it. An important idea in Buddhism is that pain and sorrow are not the same thing. Things like loss, change, and doubt will always hurt. But when we refuse to accept what's happening, we make things worse. You suffer when you try to force mental clarity before it's ready. You hurt when you want sadness to go away before it's done teaching you. But something changes when you let the feelings be cloudy, unclear, or unfinished. The pain starts to go away. With patience, you can choose to keep the door open even when your mind wants to shut it. What does it look like to breathe when your mind tells you to run? You have to pay attention to your heart, even when it talks to you in a language you don't fully understand. And having faith that you are still going forward, even though you don't know the answers yet. The mind will sometimes try to make you believe that if you're lost, you're broken. In order to succeed, you need to be clear. But that lie comes from being afraid. Not being clear is not a bad thing. In other words, it means that your old knowledge is being pushed too far, that you are becoming a bigger version of yourself, one that can hold more truth, complexity, and depth. Just think about it. Every big change in life starts with confusion. When making a big choice, confusion. Before a big personal success, there was confusion. Before you can forget, accept, or grow, you were always confused. That's how the base naturally shakes before a new building is put up. It doesn't mean you're lost. That's proof you're in holy ground. It means being ready to stay with the open questions in this case. To fight the urge to jump to a false sense of certainty. Getting solutions quickly often leads to false peace. There is a beautiful, slow, painful growth of true peace in the heart of problems that can't be easily solved. When you understand that, you stop trying so hard to fix your feelings. When things feel messy right now, you start to believe that they are actually getting you ready for a better future that you can't even imagine yet. One helpful thing you can do is name your feelings without judging them. Not to think about it, not to fix it, just to let you know. Saying things like, "I feel anxious," "I feel sad," or "I feel confused" helps you deal with your feelings without getting sucked into them. It puts a small gap between you and the emotion, a place where waiting can take root. One more thing you can do is slow down everything. It is natural to talk, move, and think faster when there is a lot of confusion, but that just makes the mud thicker. Instead, breathe more slowly, walk more slowly, talk less quickly, move as if you have something precious inside you, because you do. Your nervous system can stay in check even when your feelings are crazy because of how slowly it works. Also, it's important not to call the confusion bad or wrong. Emotions are not moral failings. They mean something. They're like weather patterns moving through your sky. You wouldn't be mad that it's raining. You couldn't say that the wind was wrong for blowing. What's wrong with being upset about how you feel? Being patient means letting your feelings change on their own time and not trying to make a storm turn into light. Remember that understanding often comes in a quiet way, not in a lightning strike, not in a big way, but in quiet words that you can only hear when you're not in a hurry. When you're confused, being patient makes room for those words to reach you. Your roots get stronger the longer you stay in the mud. And when it does finally bloom, it won't be shallow. It will be a firm understanding that the next storm will not be able to shake. You will also discover that sitting with your feelings mixed up makes you more empathetic toward other people. When you know what it's like to be in your own mess and not have any easy answers, you won't expect other people to be neat. You shouldn't expect them to know everything. They also have room to be messy. In a world where people are always told to act like everything is fine, that space is one of the best things you can give. Buddhism has a saying that goes, "The lotus grows in muddy water. It doesn't matter how dirty the water is, because of it. There would be no flower without the mud. Without doubt, it would be impossible to fully grasp something. There would be no strength, knowledge, or kindness without emotional chaos." Don't fight it the next time you're in a lot of confusion, your heart heavy with mixed feelings, and your mind cloudy with doubt. Take your time. Do not dislike it. Take a seat with it. Take a deep breath. Have faith that, like a lotus flower, something beautiful will grow from this mess, even though you can't see it yet. Being patient isn't neat. It's not simple. It's true, though, and it's in the emotional muck that the best, brightest parts of you are born. One strange thing starts to happen when you learn to be patient through your own emotional mess. You start to see other people's chaos more clearly too. But not just as noise, maybe not just as drama, as a thought, as a screen. People who upset you the most, who make you feel antsy, annoyed, or even angry, often feel antsy too. But you haven't faced your own antsiness yet. And what if every time someone else's impatience made you angry, it wasn't about them, it was showing you something you needed to see? And this is where the road gets deeper. There are two main ways that people deal with annoying energy: fight or flight. They either argue back, asking, "Why is this person so annoying?" Or they try to avoid it by saying, "I just can't deal with them right now." But Buddhism offers a third way. Pay attention to what sets you off. Look inside it, because what bothers you about other people often shows you where your own patience is weak. Take a look. Why does one person's impatience make you lose your cool, but not someone else's? It's not just how they act. It's what your nervous system thinks about that action. It's how your story connects to it. You could tell yourself things like, they're rude, they don't have any control, or they're making things worse. And on the surface, that might be true. But look further. What's really making you feel this way? It's possible that their restlessness shows you a part of yourself that you haven't accepted yet. Maybe their need to move quickly is like your own fear of being still. Their anger might make you think about a part of your past that you were never supposed to talk about. It's not to blame yourself, it's to learn about yourself. Their actions turn into a map instead of a mess. A mirror, not a scary thing. This doesn't mean you're okay with every rude or careless person who comes your way. This means that you use every contact as a chance to learn something new. Not to keep thinking about what they did wrong, but to ask yourself what their actions make you feel. Because there's a gap between "they're annoying" and "why does this bother me" is where real growth starts. This is an example. Let's say someone cuts you off in line and you get really angry. You don't just think, "What a jerk." You stop and ask, "What am I really feeling?" It could be rudeness. It could be a fear of being missed. Think about all the times you didn't say anything when you didn't want to. The present moment lets you see a wound that you thought was closed. You get to meet it now because of this stranger. Being brutally honest is a must for this practice. You need to let go of the idea that you're always the calm, smart, and good person, because nobody is ever really quiet. No one is always smart, and everyone who sets you off is a mirror for the parts of you that still need to be seen, fixed, and understood. It will also begin to make sense. You might get impatient every time someone talks too slowly. Why? You may have learned to hurry as a child, and that being still meant you were lazy. You might fear being seen as weak because you subconsciously connect slow speech with not being able to do things well. Again, what the other person does is just the spark. The real lesson is how it makes you feel. This thought process doesn't just make you more calm, it also makes you more caring. When you understand that their impatience is just a mask for their fear, and that it's the same fear you see in them, the walls between you start to fall. Don't judge people, you begin to understand. All of a sudden, their trigger is your teacher. Also, you should be aware of how your own repressed impatience can show up as judgment. It can be unbearable to hear someone else loudly show the same emotion when you've been trying to act cool when you're really angry. Why? Because they say what you've been trying to keep from people. The reputation you've worked so hard to keep is in danger because of them. That threat, though, is really an offer. For real, stop acting, to stop pretending, to feel what you've been holding in. Projections are another part of this. Things we don't like about other people are often reflections of things we don't like about ourselves. If you tell yourself that you're never mad, then someone who is mad becomes unbearable. If you think you're always patient, someone who is anxious will feel like a threat. However, what if their impatience is showing you where yours is still hiding? It could be somewhere quiet and subtle. What if accepting that fact instead of denying it made you whole? This doesn't mean you take on other people's energy. It means you're still interested. You stay in the middle while you watch what comes up in you. You learn to say things like, "This person's impatience makes me feel soft." What is it? And even if you don't get an answer right away, asking makes things less sharp. It changes a response into an analysis, and thinking about things is where wisdom lives. Some people may be impatient with you not because of something about you, but because of something you fear becoming. You might be afraid of being that loud, that angry, or that out of control. You have to face the part of yourself that you try to hide when they are around. This is working in the shadows, and working with your shadow is important if you want real patience, not just a nice front. You need a deep, rooted calm that doesn't depend on everyone else being perfect. This will help you keep the peace the longer you do it. Stop getting upset about every person you don't like. To stay calm, you no longer need everything to be quiet. You have something to hold on to now, even in the noise and fire. That's not all you're doing. You are looking, you're coming along, you are changing. The most shocking thing is that you'll start to feel grateful more and more as you use other people's impatience as a mirror. Yes, thank you, because all of those tough people helped you see something about yourself, something you might have missed. It was something you needed. They were not nice about it. They did give it. And because you stuck with this road, you turned it into gold. This doesn't mean you should stay in bad settings or let other people treat you badly. Limits are important. But when you set limits, you do so from a clear head, not an emotional one. You don't scream to keep yourself safe. You can speak clearly because you've already worked on yourself. You have looked in the mirror. You kept your promise. You can now act wisely instead of just defensively. At some point, your whole idea of annoying people changes. They are no longer seen as people who want to break your peace. You train with them by seeing them, part of how you are growing, part of your own path to becoming more self-aware. Slowly, you stop being able to be shaken, not because life stops being annoying, but because you stop hiding from what the annoying shows you. When someone does something that makes you angry, don't just roll your eyes. Do not just leave. Check it out. What are they showing me about myself? Is a tough question to ask. Then take a deep breath. Look, keep your door open. Everything could change at that time. When you look at other people's impatience as a reflection of your own, you realize something deeper. It's not just other people who make you restless. It's sometimes the clock you carry inside you that you can't see. That quiet pressure that tells you you're behind, that by now you should have done more. That time is running out. What if that clock isn't telling the truth, though? What if the stress it causes is what's keeping you from being at peace? This is the lesson your nervous system has been waiting for if you've ever felt like you're going too fast through life and never getting there. The limits that people make for themselves make them feel like they live in a prison. Due dates for success, due dates for healing, time limits for getting clarity, meaning, love, and stability. By 30, I should have that. By next month, and by tomorrow, I'll feel better. And every time life doesn't go as planned, I get more and more angry. But Buddhism tells you something very different. Time is not your enemy. How attached you are to time is. The cage is the idea that your life needs to go a certain way in order for you to be okay. It's not about ignoring your duties or leaving your job. It has to do with seeing how much pain there is in rushing toward the future instead of enjoying the moment. Time outside of your mind is different from time inside your mind. There are clocks and dates in the outside world. On the inside, though, time shifts. We don't expect grief to last so long. Growth takes place in its own way. Insight doesn't show up at the scheduled time, and rushing through the inner world makes the pain worse. Think about how stressed you get when things take longer than you planned. Where does it come from? Most of the time, it's not from truth, but from comparison, from the things you've read, from fear-based false hopes. I should have healed by now. I should be over this. I should have figured it all out already. But who knows? What does it say? These are not obvious facts. They are inherited time frames. As soon as you start to believe them, you run away. The finish line moves, though. You're never done. Never think you have enough. Don't stay still. Psychological pressures can lead you astray in that way. They make you think you have order, but they take away your peace. They tell you that you're making progress when all you're really doing is rushing through a life you haven't even had a chance to taste yet. Even worse, when the due date comes and goes and you still haven't arrived, shame sets in. Like being late is a sign of being broken. You're not broken, though. People where you live have forgotten how to move slowly. You don't have to lose speed just because you slow down. To move with force is what it means. It means giving up the idea that how fast you get there proves how valuable you are, no matter what "there" means. The truth is that most people are rushing to meet deadlines that never bring the peace they offer. People say, "I'll relax once I get to this point." But that's not how the mind works. It doesn't change the goal. This means that you wait your whole life for peace that never comes because you never stop to see that it was there all along. Something strong takes place when you slow down. Time starts to feel different to you. Minutes get longer. Feelings calm down. Ideas grow stronger. Not trying to make life fit your plans, but instead letting yourself be swept along by its natural flow. Things grow quickly. Some things need time to grow. Truth, trust, and deep love are some things that you can't rush, no matter how hard you try. They finally start to bloom when you stop trying to hurry them. When you feel psychological anxiety, one of the easiest ways to get rid of it is to question the pressure inside you. Stop when you hear that voice inside you say, "This needs to happen now." Ask it, "Why now? Who said that? What do I fear will happen if I wait?" A lot of the time, the sense of hurry hides fear. Not wanting to fall behind, fear of being lost, fear of not being loved, not deserving, or not being seen. It loses its power, though, when the fear is named. You're no longer after a ghost. You are taking on a feeling. That's where freedom starts. Another thing you can do is slow down on purpose when you feel like you're in a hurry. Slow down your fingers when you type quickly. If you want to walk quickly, take half steps. If you have a lot of thoughts, speak more slowly. Your body and mind will hear these small changes and know there's no emergency here. This message will calm you down completely. Also, stop judging your progress by how much you've already done. How present you are is how Buddhists measure growth. Not because of how far you've come, not because of what you've done, but by how firmly you are rooted in the present. Because real change can only happen in the present moment. The future is just an idea. The past is no longer real, but right now is living, and that's where your freedom lives. This change can be strange at first. It's hard to slow down when you've been praised your whole life for being quick. You might feel bad about what you did, not working hard, not helpful, but those feelings are just signs of coming off of a lifelong drug abuse. They get through. A depth of presence that can't be bought rushed or faked, takes their place. If you let go of the need to hurry, even your relationships will change. Let go of your need to rush people to understand you. Stop expecting other people to move at the same speed as you. At the same time that you learn to respect your own timing, you start to respect theirs. All of a sudden, talking gets less clear. There is less conflict. The connection grows. People feel safe when they are not rushed. They open when they feel safe. A Zen proverb says, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." If you look at the mountains, rivers, and trees, you'll see that they're not in a hurry to get somewhere. Still, everything happens at just the right time. That is also part of who you are. You're not a machine. You're not a due date. You're not late for anything. Accepting that your path is not supposed to look like anyone else's is a very helpful thing to do. When you stop comparing yourself to others, you start living from your own truth. Don't ask yourself, "Am I where I should be?" Begin to ask, "Am I here?" And the longer you stay here, the more timeless you become. Being timeless doesn't mean getting away from time. It has to do with getting under it. It's about getting to a place where presence takes the place of pressure, where the mind isn't counting down the hours, but enjoying the present, where you don't have to worry about what will happen next, because the present moment is enough. This state isn't impossible to reach. It's not just for monks living on top of mountains. You can get it in the middle of your normal day, while you're cooking, as you walk, while you wait. You get closer to what you want every time you let go of the need to rush. Every time you ignore the voice that tells you to hurry up, you train your body to stay still. The deepest truth is that life doesn't have any deadlines for important things. Real love doesn't have a set time. The time of grief doesn't follow a calendar. Your 5-year plan doesn't matter to awakening. There are times in life when the most important things happen on their own. All you have to do is be ready for them when they come, and slowing down makes you ready for that. From giving up, instead of becoming timeless. The next time you feel behind, late, rushed, or stressed, take a moment to calm down. Take deep breaths. Ask yourself about the clock in your head, and tell yourself slowly that you're not a machine. There is still time left. You are changing. And pressure doesn't make you become faster. It goes deeper when you're there. As you slow down and enjoy the strength of not being in a hurry, you slowly realize another truth. How you carry your energy is just as important as how fast you move. And because we live in a world that loves loud noises, strong reactions, and energy, we forget how important it is to stay warm without boiling over. We forget that real waiting isn't a cold, still state, but a steady, living heat. Like a tea kettle. One of the most important lessons in Buddhism can be found in that picture. The tea kettle doesn't scream at the beginning. It doesn't explode as soon as the heat is turned on. It's on low. It keeps its heat in. It builds up energy steadily and slowly, without rushing. It's not being lazy. It's not a passivity. It's on purpose. That's what your mind needs to turn into. It's neither fast nor slow. It's just always warm. Your mind should be like a tea kettle, strong, not because it burns the hottest, but because it knows how to keep its heat for a long time. Anger is very hot and sharp. It flashes very quickly. It's rough and loud, and then it crashes. This is how most people live. They get emotional, then they get tired. That loop doesn't make anything, though. It breaks up relationships, drains your energy, and makes a mess that you have to clean up later. To change things, patience is like letting them slowly boil until they take root. The steady fire below the surface is what changes raw into polished. You don't have to blow up to make a difference when you have a teapot mind. You don't have to scream to be heard. There is an energy about you that talks through your presence, not through pressure. And this kind of energy helps you trust others and yourself further. As long as it's not shaky, it's not hard to guess. It stays the same. It's strong, but never angry. We've been told that only strong, dramatic energy works, which is the problem. Everyone in the room who makes the most noise wins. That haste means it's important. That pressure is a sign of growth. But Buddhism completely changes this way of thought. It shows that a steady, calm spark is stronger than a sudden, violent burst. A single steady action done over and over again with awareness is stronger than 1,000 angry or upset responses. How you deal with your feelings is the first step to living this way. You are aware of your anger when it comes up, but you don't feed it. Like the water in a pan, you let it heat up, but don't let it boil over. You take deep breaths to ease the stress. You stay in the heat, and you change it instead of exploding. You focus the fire on yourself, not to hurt yourself, but to make yourself better. Just like heat cleanse water, being aware of a feeling cleanse it up. You deal with it long enough for it to become wise. This doesn't mean you have to hide how you feel. It means you learn how to hold it without letting it control you. Keeping heat in isn't a sign of weakness, it's a sign of power. In this case, it means you can handle the pain without having to put it on someone else. That, my friends, is emotional growth. What separates someone who is reacting from someone who is truly grounded? You can do this every day in small ways. Feel the heat in your body before you do anything when something is making you mad. Take note of where it rises. The chest, the neck. Why the stomach? Leave it there. Take a deep breath in. Do not say it is wrong. Take a tight grip on it, like a tea kettle keeps its heat in. You'll feel your mind start to calm down as you hold on. You won't have to yell, snap, or make your point. You've already won because you're not melting. You can also make better choices with this method. Your mind can see more clearly when it's not filled with strong feelings. You're not responding to emotions on the surface. The way you answer goes deep. That changes how you talk to your partner, how you deal with stress at work, and how you talk to yourself when you're hurt. When you let your thoughts stew, even tough talks lose their edge. You're not trying to take charge. You sound calm when you talk. And that calm makes people feel strong without you having to do anything. Even your drive changes. You don't chase your goals with stress and fear. Instead, you move steadily toward them. You don't have to be in a hurry to start now that the deadline is over. You don't get burned out after 2 weeks. Because you're not trying to push the fire, you're just slowly, steadily, and patiently adding fuel to it. Your work gets rich, solid, and nourishing over time, like a meal that is cooked slowly. It also means you can handle tough situations for longer without breaking down. Rarely is the person who burns out the one who doesn't care. It's the person who keeps trying to make everything more intense. This is true, but intensity is a bad food source. It's gone quickly. After that, you have nothing left. But if your energy comes from slowly building up, you don't give up as soon as things get hard. You bear it, you change, you stay. A teapot. Mind also keeps your relationships safe. A lot of fights happen not because people really don't agree, but because they come into contact with each other with angry thoughts. When someone lashes out, the other person responds with heat, and all of a sudden the talk is full of steam and pressure. But things change when even one person stays in stew mode. You don't have to fight back. You keep your own peace and love close, and that often makes them feel better too. It doesn't mean letting other people abuse you. It means that your strength is not loud, but quiet. It's not going up and down. It's not inactive. It's done on purpose. Because of this, it is much stronger than anger ever could be. There's also something very healing about holding this energy inside you. You turn into a safe place, not just for other people, but also for yourself. When things are tough, feelings are mixed up, and the world seems to be going too fast, you are the only person you can trust. Since you know how to cook, pressure doesn't bother you because you know how to hold it. You've built up that ability one moment at a time with your breath, your focus, and your hard work. The way people feel about you starts to change because of this energy. They feel better when they're with you. They let more in. They trust you more because your energy is safe, not because you always say the right thing. Hold on, not rough or with quick changes in temperature. You make the room quiet, the kettle that doesn't boil over, and that peace makes something holy grow. Knowledge, really wise. That is, someone who knows when to talk, when to wait, when to hold on, and when to let go. That kind of knowledge isn't found in books. It comes from being there, due to waiting, from heat that didn't have to shout to be felt. So the next time you feel your inner fire getting stronger, take a moment to calm down. Do not try to kill it. Do not be scared. Hold it like you would a tea kettle. Allow it to rise slowly. Learn from it. You'll be ready to speak, act, or make a choice when the time comes, not in a burst. Still, with a clarity that could only come from a thought that hadn't boiled. You start to change not only how you respond, but also how you hope after you learn to simmer instead of boil. In terms of how you think things will go, this is where a more underlying impatience starts to show itself. It's not loud, it's not mad, it's not big. When someone is looking for spirituality, it hides behind a smile. Its robe is made of hard work, prayer, kindness, and discipline. But what's really going on? A quiet hunger, a wish to get something good, a hope that says, I'm doing the right things, so why don't I feel calm yet? This is what we do when we treat fate like a machine that gives us things. When people go on the spiritual road, they mean well. They need to get bigger. They need to get better. They want to not be hurt anymore. They start to think that if they sit, read, and forgive enough, they'll get something back. They want things to be quiet. They want to know more. They think that life will act like a fair deal. That being said, life isn't like a business deal. It's not, you work hard, you get a result Y. And it's not on a time frame that makes sense to the mind. Kindness doesn't work that way. It's true that karma means cause and effect. It doesn't mean power, though. It doesn't mean certain results. It doesn't mean getting results right away, wrapped in wisdom bows. Karma is not obvious. When it's ready, it ripens. It happens in ways that are very different from what the ego can imagine. We stop spiritual practice as soon as we think it will pay us back right away. We begin to deal. It's so sneaky to make that deal. As you meditate, you might ask yourself, okay, I'm breathing, I'm being present, I'm letting go. Where's the peace? Thoughts like, when will this kindness finally come back to me? May run through your mind when you show care. When you repeat mantras or read sutras, you might expect a reward in your mind, but that hope is just another kind of hunger. It wants to be dressed in clothes, and as soon as desire comes in, pain follows. You don't deserve to feel good just because you're doing the work. This is one of the hardest lessons in spiritual growth. That's the reasoning of the ego, not wisdom. Sometimes you have to keep going, even though things don't seem to be changing. Even when the ideas don't stick. No matter what. Even when there is no peace. Because that's when you really practice. Not when it's simple. Not when the prize is good. But when it's not full. When it needs everything from you, but doesn't give anything back yet. This doesn't mean the road has no use. It means the way is right. Being honest takes time. Your spiritual work needs time to mature, just like a tree needs years to bear fruit. You also don't dig up the roots just to see how things are going. You water. Wait. You believe. That trust will teach you the most. A lot of people give up because they think that being quiet means they've failed. Even though I've been doing the work, I still feel anxious, lost and triggered, they think. Why bother? But you need to understand that karma isn't always loud at that moment. You can't always see growth. It's not always fireworks that lead to insight. Sometimes the biggest changes are going on below ground, where you can't see them yet. The work is the silence. You might be letting go of old habits without even realizing it. If you sit in silence every morning, you might be getting rid of years of training. Clear thinking seeds may not bloom for years, but they are already starting to grow. They're still unknown to you. This is why it's so important to be patient and let go of results right away. It takes away the tension of what to expect. It gives grace room to happen when it wants to. No longer do you want to use Buddhism, meditation, or awareness to make everyone happy. They can change you slowly and deeply from the inside out because you're letting them. In a strange way, results start to show up when you stop trying to get them, because your energy is finally clear enough to accept, not because you tricked them. You're not pulling something out of the air anymore. You're not sitting down, ready to go. Hold on. That space pulls in what you were trying to push away. Being distant doesn't mean you no longer care. It means that you will care for anyone, no matter what. Not because it makes you feel calm, but because it helps you get back to yourself. You forgive not because it will help you get better, but because it's what you want to do. Being kind doesn't earn you reputation points. It makes you feel better, even when no one else does. These things you do change the way you are. They don't just happen to you. It keeps you from getting burned out too. A lot of people give up on the spiritual road because they use it as a way to get more done. How can I get rid of my stress in 5 steps? How can I make my dream life come true in 30 days? That's not how the soul works, though. It doesn't want to be turned into a project. And when your practice is just another way to manage your experience, it breaks down on its own. Giving up is the other option. Not in a weak way, but in the best way possible. Allow yourself to show up for your practice as you would for a loved one. not because they owe you something, but because it makes you happy to do so, because the bond between them is holy, and every moment you spend being present, kind, and aware makes that relationship stronger, even if you can't see any changes. It's not often that people are this patient. That's what monks who sit for decades are made of, about people who keep walking even when the road gets foggy, about people who love and smile without being asked or being praised. That kind of patience that says, I believe something is happening even though I don't fully grasp it yet. And that belief? That changes everything in your life. You should stop trying to heal faster. You should no longer try to find your progress every week. You no longer check your mental pulse to see how well your efforts are going. You live instead. You take deep breaths. You come back tomorrow. You continue to plant. Because peace will grow one day, maybe when you least expect it. It will become clear. It won't hit you like a lightning bolt, but as a calm knowing that you didn't need to rush in the first place. So the next time you ask yourself, why hasn't this worked yet? Pause. Take deep breaths. Take note of the desire that is hidden in the question. Pick again. Pick to come back to your breath, not because it will reward you, but because it will protect you. Choose to show kindness, not because you want to be praised, but because it's in your nature to do so. You can choose to stay, sit, and accept without proof. The law of karma remembers. You won't lose the seeds you plant right now. They're just below ground, going up, waiting. Believe that. Your spiritual road stops being a race and starts being a home when you do that. Not a place to buy things, but a field where every act of love, every breath of awareness, and every choice to be in the present moment plants something holy. That holy thing is already making you who you are. When you let go of the need for quick results, a huge space opens up inside you. But then another craving comes in, one that is quieter, trickier, and just as dangerous. It's no longer looking for benefits. It's the need to be seen in a certain way, to be right, to be treated well, to come first. It's not enough to just want peace. Your ego will still say, at least let me win, at least let me be better, at least let me be important. If you don't catch it, this hunger can eat away at your patience from the inside. One of the most dangerous things in the mind is the need to be right. It's a need that hides in fights, comments on social media, and the silent opinions of people who don't agree with you. It's good for the ego. It builds walls around it. I'm smarter, more awake, and ahead of them. It makes me feel safe. It has a strong feeling, but that power isn't real, and the more you feed it, the weaker you get. Getting this hunger to go away is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do with patience, because when you let go, you feel like you lose something. You feel like you're losing ground. You feel like someone else is winning. You can prove you're right, but Buddhism says that the real victory is not that. The real victory is not having to show anything at all. One or both sides need to be seen as right. This is what causes most fights and pain between people. They need proof of their point of view. They need to protect their position. Because of this need, the talk turns into a battleground instead of an attempt to understand. Words are used as tools. It's like waiting for your turn to strike when you listen. No one hears anything, though. No one gets bigger. It's really powerful to stay calm when your ego wants to take over. You don't rush to fix someone when they misunderstand you. Instead, you take a deep breath. When someone falsely blames you, you don't fight back. Instead, you stay put. When you could fight and win, but you don't because you know that winning the argument would cost you something much more valuable: your peace. When the truth is important, this doesn't mean you should let lies go unchecked. It means you choose your fights based on what's best, not on your hurt pride. It means you stop letting your ego make you think that every argument is a threat to your life. It's not. There is no confusion about who you are. You're more than any charge. You are bigger than any short-term fight. If you don't feed your ego, it will have temper tantrums. It makes you feel rushed. Say something. Shield yourself. Show them they're wrong. But if you can handle that inner fire without adding fuel to it, amazing things happen. The fire goes out. The hunger goes away. A kind of patience that is almost hard to disturb is hidden beneath. People who are good teachers are patient like this. People who can take insults, misunderstandings, and even being made fun of without losing their cool. Not because they don't feel anything, but because they don't need approval from other people to feel safe anymore. They are safe because they have a peace inside that can't be touched by praise or blame. Being aware is the first step in training yourself in this way. You become aware of when the need to be right comes up. Your stomach gets tighter when you think about it, feeling hot in your chest, the rush of thoughts getting you ready to defend yourself. You shouldn't feel bad about it. You don't fight it. You only notice it. You take a deep breath and think, "There's my ego, hungry again." You ease up. There was a moment when you didn't play the game. This sometimes means being quiet when your whole body wants to tell someone they're wrong. It can mean listening to a point of view you don't agree with without speaking up. In some cases, it means giving up a fight that your pride really wants to win. You're not losing when you do this. You're winning the only battle that counts, which is the one against your own need to be better. And here's the secret. You get smarter when you stop trying to be right. Your thoughts become clearer. Your heart gets softer. You learn from everyone, not just those who agree with you. You can find facts in ideas you used to disagree with. You get out of the small box that your ego wants to put you in. In a quieter, deeper way, you also get stronger. It's clear to everyone. They can tell that you're not there to control them. You are not in the game. That is, you are free because you are not playing. They can't say anything that will make you lose your balance. They think nothing can make you upset. Among all the different points of view, you become the calm one. And when things are calm, people often find that they soften too, because you're not idle with your patience. It pulls you in. People are drawn to the truth by it without any power. Your example is better than any argument because it shows how things work. It's also important to deal with the ego's other hunger, the need to be first, to get ahead, to be seen as smarter, faster, better, and more informed. This hunger can even get into your mental life. Start comparing your success to that of other people. You wonder if you're able to meditate better, forgive more quickly, and understand more fully. You don't look at yourself, you look away. But real growth isn't a race. To awaken, you don't get any awards. There are no prizes for mental peace. You can't compare your road to someone else's because they are going in different directions. Each one happens at its own pace, with its own nature, and in its own strange dance with life. It's crazy to try to be the first person to finish a trip that has no end. Remember that you're not here to be first. You're not here to prove yourself. You came here to be free. Freedom from the ties of proof. Free from the need for approval. Free from the need to win a game that your ego made up. At first, this freedom seems strange. It makes you want to give up, like going away. But what you're really doing is getting rid of layers of a fake self. You're not getting less real, you're getting more real. Not as airy, more alive. And this patience, the ability to let go of being right and first, isn't just for you. It's for everyone you touch. You make the world a little more open to understanding every time you choose presence over pride. To get better, to keep the peace. You begin to understand how deeply other people are stuck by the same hunger. You can see how eager they are to prove himself. They are afraid of being wrong. They need to be seen and heard. You don't judge them. Instead, you show kindness, since you've been there. You know how bad that hunger is. That race is getting so tiring. And maybe, just maybe, you show them another way by staying true to yourself and not feeding your ego. A way where it doesn't matter who wins, where there is enough peace, where being there is everything. When the urge to correct, prove, or dominate comes up again, remember to stop. Take deep breaths. Don't forget who you are, not someone who talks for your ego, not a competitor in a made-up race, but a presence that is alive and well, big enough to hold the moment without having to take it over. This is the best kind of patience. This is where real strength lives. Not in how sharp your points are, in the speed at which you achieve things, no, but in the quiet. Having the strength to stay soft when you want to become hard is brave. Something inside you softens in a way that can't be faked when you finally stop hungry to be right or first. When you relax, you learn a new kind of patience. It's not just about getting through your own feelings. It's also about making room for someone else's journey. A kind of patience that doesn't mean endurance. It's about love. It means making room on your own schedule for other people to grow at their own pace, even if that means it takes longer, is messier, or hurts more than you'd like. A lot of people mix up tolerance and patience. As you say tolerance, your teeth get grittier, like waiting for someone to understand how important it is to you, like putting up with things until they get better. There is a deeper truth that Buddhism teaches, though. Real patience is kindness that lasts over time. You can't wait for someone to get better before you love them. There's love for them even though they're in the middle of chaos, as long as they are still learning, even though they're still not good enough. You should think about the people who have hurt you, let you down, or confused you. You really want those people to wake up, do better, and get it together. Your mind tells you that everything will be okay once they do. Real kindness, on the other hand, asks, can you stay open even before they change? Can you let go of the need for them to change when you want them to? This doesn't mean putting yourself at risk or putting up with abuse. You have to understand that you can't force real change in anyone, not even yourself. You can move people. You can lead. You can love. You can't make someone awake faster, though. Trying to do that only leads to anger, stress, and frustration, which makes it even harder to grow. When you think of compassion as expanding time, You make your patience bigger than you thought it would be. You no longer look at the time. You no longer keep track of how many tries you've given. You shouldn't judge someone by how quickly they change or heal. In their unfinished state, you love them. You love them even when they trip. You love how slowly they move. This is tough because the ego wants quick results for itself and everyone else it comes in contact with. You may think, if I can see well, why can't they? But that is a fake thought. You are the one who is clear. You are the only one who knows how much it cost. They also have to pay costs that you can't see. Having to carry weights you don't understand. There are walking tracks that don't make sense from the outside, but teach them exactly what they need to know. That mystery is respected by real kindness. It recognizes that everyone's life goes in their own unique way. When you put seeds on the same day, they will bloom at different times. The same is true for souls. Some seeds need days to grow. Some take decades. They won't grow faster no matter how hard you push, scold, or beg them. In fact, stress often stops things from happening spontaneously that could have with time and care. Many people never work on their mental muscles like this because it hurts to stretch them. When you can see a way out, it hurts to see someone get stuck. It hurts to love someone who is always getting hurt. It's painful to have faith in someone who keeps failing. However, if you can sit with that pain without closing your heart, amazing things start to happen. You stop getting in the way of their growth and become an actual partner in it. Instead of waiting for someone to change before giving them your love, care, or forgiveness, you make room for real change to happen, because they're not changing to make you happy right now. They aren't getting better because they are getting in trouble. They're getting bigger because they finally feel safe enough to grow at their own pace. This doesn't mean letting bad behavior happen. It doesn't mean giving up your own rules. When you expand your compassion to include time, you also include concern for yourself. You can protect your peace if someone else's trip is making you feel bad. You can love someone from afar sometimes, which is the kindest thing you can do, to not bring you down with them as they go through their hard way. But the love stays the same even then. The door stays open. The heart stays soft. This practice is great because it frees you too. If you stop trying to control someone else's growth, you'll be free from being frustrated and let down all the time. You stop seeing other people's slow recovery as a sign that you've failed. Stop planning their trip around your schedule, and relationships start to feel different, not like problems that need to be solved, but like puzzles that need to be loved. It changes the way you remember the past, too. You start to forget about how long it took you to learn some things. Stop being mad at your younger self for not getting up earlier. You understand that everyone else needs every mistake, every wrong turn, and every broken heart to become who they are today. Growth doesn't happen in a straight line. It's a mess. It is holy. No matter how much love you put into it, you can't rush it. When you live with this much patience, you are very different from everyone else. You become a rare sight in a culture that is obsessed with quick fixes, quick growth, and instant transformation. You become the person who can watch someone else struggle without trying to help them. You become someone who can believe in someone else without making them feel bad about it. As you grow, you learn that real change often looks like failure until all of a sudden it doesn't. Over time, something lovely takes place. It gets to the people around you. They can tell there is no rush, the lack of judgment. They sense the room you make for them, and as they stay there, they start to calm down, they start to breathe, they start to show themselves because they were trusted, not because they were pushed. This trust is a strong medicine. It fixes scars that shame can't reach. It brings out strengths that fear can't bring out. It states, "I believe you are more than your mistakes. I believe you are more than your timeline. I believe in the goodness inside you, even when you can't see it yourself." And it gets easier to do this with yourself the more you do it with other people. Stop trying to change too quickly. Don't worry about how long it's taking to accept, understand, and heal. You also start to trust your own time. You let yourself grow in the same big, caring way that you let other people grow. Waiting doesn't have to be the only thing that shows patience. It's about love making time last longer. It's about believing that nothing truly valuable can ever be rushed. Not trust, not healing, not love, not awakening. It's about making room for the slow miracles that only happen when you stop, say, hurry up. So, the next time you feel that tightness, the need to fix, rush, or force something, stop. Take deep breaths. Make your heart a little bigger. Don't forget that growth doesn't happen when you want it to. It happens when life wants it to. Life knows what it's doing all the time. Another, even bigger task starts to show up when you learn to be patient and let other people grow at their own pace. It's not enough to just slow down for other people. It's about being still in front of something that can't be changed. The broken heart that won't get better quickly. That sickness that can't be cured. They might never get back together the way they were before. And in these places, the urge to fix up, or force change can be too strong. Buddhism, on the other hand, talks about a different kind of courage. The strength to stay with what is broken without trying to fix it right away. Some parts of our hearts hate seeing things that aren't finished. It wants to fix every tear. It wants to fill in all the gaps. To act is to feel powerful, so it wants to do something. It feels like a loss to just sit there. True patience, though, the kind that changes the way you see life, requires that you face things that can't be fixed right away and deal with them without struggling. The part of us that wants to fix things is not bad. It comes from care, from love, coming from a sincere desire to ease pain. But it's also caused by fear. Do not want to be weak. Fear of losing something. Fear of accepting that some things hurt and that you can't fix them right away, no matter how hard you try. The fixer tells you, do something now or you'll lose control. But Buddhism says that controlling the damage is not the way to find true peace. It's about getting big enough to hold it. Think about a loved one who is going through hard times. Think about how you want to say the right thing to make them feel better, to help them out, to help them get better. It's not because they asked, but because you can't stand seeing them hurt. If you really look at that moment, you'll see that it's not just about helping them. Also, it's about trying to ease your own pain. You take away someone's process when you try to fix things too fast. You push them past how they feel. Without meaning to, you send the message that their brokenness is a problem that needs to be fixed instead of a fact that should be respected. You miss the most important thing you could offer by not being there: your patient presence. Sitting with someone in their pain without saying a word can be the most compassionate thing you can do. Choose not to answer, not to tell them how to do it. I am not afraid of your brokenness. I am not rushing you to heal. I trust your heart to find its own way. What's true for other people is even more true for us. Think about the parts of yourself that still hurt, question, or have trouble. How many times do you tell yourself, "Get over it already"? How often do you turn your own hurts into things you need to get done? The healer doesn't just work on the outside, it also works on the inside. In the process, it stops you from giving yourself the deep, slow recovery you need. There are some things that just can't be changed the way you want them to be. Some losses can't be fixed. There are some real ends. There are still some scars. To be truly patient is not to act like you are not patient. You have to learn how to stay sad all the time, to stay with the pain, to keep going with the unfinished story that might never have a neat ending. This is a very strong form of patience. It's not a passivity. It's not numb. It's energy that you use. It takes strength to let go of your fears and choose love over them when things don't go the way you want them to. No matter how painful it is, choose to breathe. To get better at this, pay attention to the little times when the healer wants to take over. When your friend tells you they're sad and you start giving them help before they're done. When your own discomfort level rises, you look for ways to relax or find an answer right away. When there is silence, you try to fill it up. These are the times to stop, to take a breath, in order to stay a little longer in the tough spot. It's not to suffer needlessly, but to stop rushing through life to make things better. Being humble enough to say you don't know everything is a holy thing. That not everyone can be saved, that you can't even keep bad things from happening. That's fine. That's not a fail. In that moment, real kindness starts to grow. Kindness toward the world as it is. Feel sorry for the hurts that take a while to heal. Kindness toward the mystery of pain itself. The healing process often goes more smoothly when you stop trying to fix everything, not because you made them, but because you made room for it, because you had faith in the deeper processes going on below the surface, because you didn't break up the earth and let the seed grow in its own way. You also see growth in a different way this way. You can't judge how well someone is improving by how quickly the pain goes away. Being able to stay kind to yourself in the middle of pain is how you start to measure it. Do not judge. Don't push. Not leaving. It's just breathing. Being in the present moment with what is. When it comes to partnerships, this changes everything. You don't have to make your partner feel better anymore. You don't have to fix your friend's broken heart anymore. You begin to believe that others can be broken sometimes, just like you can. And the best thing you can give them is your calm presence, not advice or answers. Your heart of patience, your strong faith that being broken is not the end of the story. Even so, you still help out when it's needed, when to act and when not to. You move from somewhere else now, though, not out of fear, not because it hurts. It came from really listening, from the wise person who knows when to do something and when to just be with someone. It will become clear to you over time that the more you quiet the fixer, the more peace comes into your life. Not because everything is fixed, but because you're not trying to change the truth anymore. You are no longer asking that pain be fixed when it suits you. No longer do you hold yourself responsible for fixing everything that breaks. You will also become stronger. Now, when things in your life break that you can't change, you don't break along with them. You know how to stay put, how to take a breath. Learn how to survive without becoming tough or losing your softness. That is a very strong trait. It's built one moment at a time, every time you choose to sit with your pain instead of running away from it. In a world that is always looking for answers, you become something new. A personality that doesn't expect everything to be perfect. Unfinished business doesn't scare this heart. A soul that values both the light and the cracks. So, the next time you want to fix something, hurry or take charge, stop, take deep breaths. Stay broken for a little while longer. Believe that today you don't need to fix everything. When you love someone, you have to be patient with the messy parts of life, that you can only see some beauty if you're brave enough to love something that isn't fixed yet. You can start to have a new relationship with movement when you stop trying to fix everything right away and learn to sit still with the broken parts of your life. You start to understand that not all moving is good for you, and not all stillness is bad. That's not what the world has told you. If you're not busy, you'll fall behind, it says. You are losing time if you do nothing. You are being weak if you don't move forward. And that lie leaves many hearts stuck in a never-ending, pointless struggle. Buddhism tells us a more honest truth. Real patience doesn't always show itself, but it's always there. It's like the wind and the flag, quiet forces that move in ways we can't always see. Waiting is often mistaken for being lazy. Panic levels rise when a project stops, a talk breaks, or a dream lasts longer than planned. You start to feel like you're stuck. You start to doubt yourself. You start to doubt your path. But just because you can't see any movement doesn't mean there isn't any. The wind doesn't yell as it goes, and growth doesn't always do well either. You can tell there is wind when a flag flaps its wings. But just because the flag is still doesn't mean the air is gone. It means that the conditions aren't right yet for movements to be seen. The currents are still there below. They're just not clear. You learn to trust that hidden forces are still at work, even when things don't seem to be going anywhere or your life seems quiet. There are times in life when everything seems to be moving quickly and urgently. There are also times of the year when things move more slowly, doors stay shut, and replies don't appear. The second kind hurts the ego. In silence, it thinks failure has happened. It thinks of death when it hears silence. Wisdom, on the other hand, sees something else. Deep roots grow in quiet, as wise people know. That changes happen in holding seasons that can't be seen. Some of the most important changes are so small that the eye doesn't notice them until much later. This doesn't mean you don't act when you need to. It means you shouldn't freak out when you can't see what's happening. You learn to sense the movement inside, which doesn't always match up with what happens on the outside. You can feel the work that is being done quietly in the background of your soul. The slow putting together of ideas, the secret way that determination gets stronger, the softening of old rigidities that can't be seen. You also start to understand that running around just to look busy is one of the most tiring habits of our time. Most of the time, people stay busy because they don't want to be still. How many times do people set goals they don't really want to reach just to say they did? But waiting tells you to do something different. Don't move just to move. When it's true, move. When it's safe to do so, move. Once the inner currents inside you tell you to, start moving. Also, accept those currents that tell you to wait. How you deal with problems changes because of this change. When problems come up, you don't rush to find answers right away. You pay attention. You look around. You sense that there is a greater intelligence at work here. As smart as you are, it tells you when to act now and when to wait. Real patience comes from being able to tell the difference. To be truly wise, it's also at its core. You also stop being hard on yourself for taking longer than other people. Some plants bloom early, some bloom late. Some seeds stay in the ground for years before they grow. Are the late bloomers wrong? Did the slow plants fail? Of course not. They're just going at the speed that life gave them. You too. A lot of old worry starts to go away when you hold on to this knowledge. You no longer feel behind. Don't judge your life by how busy you look. You start to see the times when nothing is happening as part of the process, not as breaks in it. You can see that silence is not a blank, it's a womb. It's where the next real movement will get strong. The things you do will also be cleaner when they happen, better, straighter, because they aren't caused by stress or fear. They're coming from being able to see. Due to careful listening, there is weight, accuracy, and power to them. One step taken with calm at the right time is worth 100 shaky steps taken out of fear. But that doesn't mean you won't get bored sometimes. You are a person. You will still feel the need to do something to prove yourself. It will still hint that you don't want to waste time. But now you know not to take it at face value. You can now stop and ask, is this real movement or just noise? Just asking that question can save you years of lost energy. You will also have a new respect for time, not just your own, but everyone else's as well. Don't expect people to change right away. You should stop expecting things to change right away. You understand that real change, healing, and growth happen at a pace that respects complexity over ease of access. For that is when you find peace. You also find strength. When you know that being still doesn't mean that things are stuck, you're less likely to give up when things move slowly. When you can't see growth, you're less likely to give up on your dreams. You believe that something is still moving beneath the surface, so you're less likely to freak out when life says, wait. You've known it. You've been there. You know. This knowledge makes you a safer person to be around in interactions. Do not force people to change before they are ready. You no longer need talks to solve things right away. You don't try to make it sunny when it's still raining. Instead, you let the emotional weather go through its normal cycle. You make it possible for people to connect, trust, and be close to you when you give them that room. The same thing takes place inside you. Stop trying too hard to get better. Stop giving yourself artificial due dates for your growth. You believe your heart can lead you, that you can trust your soul's moves even if you can't see them right away. When you believe someone, your patience grows into something more beautiful than endurance. It stops being an inactive waiting and turns into an active taking part in how life unfolds. It turns into a dance as unknown forces shape your path. It turns into a living faith that being there is enough, even if proof hasn't shown up yet. So the next time you're in a place that seems quiet, in the middle of something, or still, stop. Take deep breaths. You can feel the wind moving through your life, even if the flag isn't flying yet. Believe what you hear. Respect the work that can't be seen. Don't move, and know that waiting doesn't mean death. To be still is not to fail. Waiting doesn't waste time. It's not passive to be patient. It's strong, and the longer you hold on to that truth, the stronger, deeper, and freer you become in ways that your mind can't explain. As you learn to trust the quiet moves that lie beneath stillness, you naturally become less tied to strict schedules. But there's another test of patience that comes in even deeper than slow progress. Moments of chaos that come out of nowhere and destroy everything that was carefully made. Stops and starts. Bad luck. No surprises. Life laughs at your plans and throws you a curveball you didn't ask for at these times. What you do when things get in the way shows how patient you really are, more than any meditation cushion could. When things are going slowly, you can be patient because at least you can tell what rhythm they're following. But when something out of the blue happens in the middle of your day, you worry. It holds on tighter. It needs to be explained. It tries to fix something that wasn't meant to break. There is a secret door that these interruptions open that can lead to flexibility, resilience, and a patience that is so alive it can dance in the storm without breaking. If you aren't careful, you might miss it. Buddhism doesn't teach waiting as something cold and lifeless. If you want to learn patience, you have to be open to life as it is, not just the way you planned it. When things go well, it's easy to stay calm. It's wonderful to stay cool when things are going wrong. Think about what you do every day. You make your own plans. You decide what you want to do. You build something that makes sense. Then, bad news on the phone. It's not going to start. Someone you care about needs you when you had other things to do. Your whole script starts to burn at once. This hurts the ego. It needs to feel like it's in charge. It judges safety by how well what it sees fits what it thought it saw. Reality either explodes in anger, fear, or failure when it doesn't play along. But something deeper tells us something different. It says, "This break is not a mistake. It's not a threat. This is an offer." Not to break, but to bow instead. To open up instead of get stronger. To go with the flow of life instead of against it. This bow doesn't mean giving up. It's not a loss. It's a deliberate way to keep your mind open. "I see that life is bigger than my plans," it reads. "It's clear that I don't understand enough of the story right now to fully grasp it. I'm not going to fight what's happening. I'm going to adjust. I'll pay attention. I'll be open." When you put your patience to the test, this kind of flexibility shows what it looks like. You don't have to grit your teeth and deal with shocks. You have to loosen up your mind enough to let shocks happen, to learn something from them, to help them grow, to find that you are more whole and awake because things didn't go the way you thought they would. The most important thing to learn from this is that interruptions aren't really distractions. They're just life moving in ways you couldn't have imagined. When plans don't work out, life isn't to you. Things are going on, always. The mind only says it's wrong because it holds on to a dream where everything always goes the way the mind wants it to. Life was never meant to follow your rules, though. Things are crazy in life. It's living. It has a lot of surprising turns that aren't personal attacks, but rather calls to grow, to put down stronger roots, to get a better look, to give up what you thought you needed in order to find something deeper and more real. One thing that can help is to pay attention to what comes up in the first few seconds after being interrupted. Take note of how tight your chest feels, the fast flow of anger. "This isn't fair," "I don't have time for this," and "why me?" are just a few of the stories that come in. Do not feed them, do not follow them. They can go up and down like waves that you don't have to ride. You can get back to being open faster if you can catch the mental story that is trying to name the interruption as bad as soon as possible. One more thing that can help is to purposely think of pauses as training sessions. You don't think, "This ruins everything," when something interrupts your day. Instead, you think, "This is my real practice." The interruption becomes the lesson. The surprise turns into the teacher. Your answer is what the lesson is. This way of thinking changes everything. A traffic jam is a chance to learn how to be patient. A sudden amount of work turns into practice for resilience. An event that is scrapped turns into surrender school. You don't wait for life to go according to your plans before you can be happy. Instead, you know that you can bring peace to any situation life gives you. Being flexible doesn't mean you give up all your rules. That means you don't hold your building too tightly. You carefully make plans, but you don't marry them. You stick to your plan, but you don't give up when it takes an unexpected turn. You believe that deep down you can change, adapt, and stay true even when the world does. It also helps to keep in mind that many of life's best gifts come with problems. Because of a missed meeting, you make new friends. Because an old road closed, you find a strength you didn't know you had. It's not because everything went perfectly that you find love, wisdom, and excitement. It's because it didn't. Being patient with the unexpected means living in a way that makes you curious instead of scared. You have to ask, "What is this here to teach me?" instead of, "How do I get rid of this?" You have to see the unexpected not as something that stops your growth, but as something that makes it stronger. This kind of adaptability changes lives in partnerships. People will get in the way of your goals. They're going to change their minds. They will not live up to your hopes. And if you need them to always act in a certain way to keep the peace, you will suffer forever. It's not control that you lose when you give in to the unexpected and stay open when things happen that you didn't expect. The same magic happens inside you. Your feelings, thoughts, and energy will not always go along with what you want them to do. The next morning, you'll be tired and not ready to work. You were going to be happy today, but you'll feel sad instead. You don't have to be mean to yourself about it. You can bow down to it. You can tell yourself, "Even this fits." Instead of fighting your inner weather, you can move with it. Over time, this way of living gives you a deep sense of freedom inside. You're no longer stuck in the prison of wanting life to fit your thought plans. You can deal with life the way it is. You can move without fear now. You can be happy even if the script goes wrong and the day doesn't go as planned. And just maybe you start to see that life's most beautiful parts are the ones you didn't plan. The laugh out of the blue, the journey without a plan, the side trip that turned out to be the main trip, that breakup that made your heart bleed bigger than you thought it could. So, take a moment the next time something unexpected happens in your life. Take deep breaths. Bow. Let the stiffness go away. Let go of your mind's need to be in charge, and walk into the reality river with wide eyes and a steady heart, ready to face whatever comes your way without fear, but with patience, presence, and the quiet flexibility of a heart that doesn't need life to be predictable to stay free. As you learn to accept the unexpected and stay open to life's interruptions, a new part of the journey starts. This part tests not only your flexibility, but also your ability to stay open for long periods of time. There are times when quick changes are needed. Some people ask for patience, and practicing forgiveness is the best way to test your patience over time. Even more so if the person you're forgiving hasn't changed, or said sorry. They didn't even know what they did. Buddhism says that forgiving someone is not something you do just once. There is a way, a long, bumpy, deeply human road. To be truly patient, you have to walk it without knowing when or if the other person will ever meet you there. One of the traits that people get wrong the most is forgiveness. It's often talked about like a light switch. Once you forget, it's over. But what if things don't happen when you forgive? What if it's a curve? You might open your heart to something, not because it's easy or because the pain is gone, but because you choose to keep love bigger than the wound. For Buddhists, forgiveness is not based on what you do. It's not about you say sorry and I let go, or you change and I let go of the grudge. It's about breaking free from the jail of anger, even if justice hasn't come yet. To hold a place for someone else's growth over time, not all at once. This is something most people don't know how to do, not really well, not based on your schedule. On the other hand, slowly, painfully, and maybe even if that potential never comes true. To start, you need to know that people don't always change when you want them to. It's not possible to tell people to grow. And real change, the kind that makes you feel bad, makes you want to change, and makes you see things more clearly, can take years, decades, sometimes for a lifetime. If you forgive someone, it doesn't mean you agree with what they did. I will no longer let your immaturity imprison my peace, you say. Forgiving someone in this way is not a sign of weakness. That kind of strength lets you put down the weight of anger without needing the other person to hold it for you. Forgetting is not it. It's not a trick. It's a sign of mental growth. Seeing that everyone is going through something, even the people who have hurt you. That doesn't make the hurt okay, but it does explain the delay. That person wasn't ready to be that person. They might not be ready yet. What do you do in the time between getting hurt and getting better? That long, quiet time when you're learning to forgive them, but they haven't changed yet. This is where love shows up as patience. Not love that's soft. Love isn't easy, but love that is steady, bound, and immovable. A love that says, "You hurt me, but I won't change into someone like you. I don't want to carry hate. I won't let your unhealed wounds make my heart sick." Forgiving someone can include making peace. It doesn't always happen. In either case, though, it takes patience. The patience to not need them to give up on things in order to start healing. The self-control to stop telling the same story over and over to stay mad. The strength to feel all of the emotions that the wound caused without trying to numb them right away. It takes time to forgive because recovery takes time. You feel freer every day that you decide to lose weight again. But this also means giving up your idealized view of what someone could be like. They might change. They might not do it. They might say everything you want them to say when they come back. They might get stuck in their routines for a long time, and letting go of that doubt is part of the process of forgiving. Missing the friendship you wish you had, sad about the words you never got, missing the person they could have been but never were. To forgive with patience, you have to stay soft without getting stuck. It means you let go and move on, even if they are still behind you. It means you stop waiting for them to change before you can find peace. You give up being a judge and become a witness. This doesn't mean you agree with what happened, but you accept the truth of what it did to you and decide not to live in pain any longer than you have to. You might do all the work by yourself. They might not join you ever, but your growth doesn't depend on them taking part. You are the one who heals you. That's where your real power is. Being patient also means resisting the urge to keep mental checks on them, like, have they changed yet? Do they regret it yet? Do they even care? This keeps you attached to their journey instead of staying true to your own. You forgive them not because they've changed, but because you have changed. Because you no longer want to tie your heart to someone else's unfinished growth. But even in letting go, kindness is important. Not feel sorry for them, not being spiritually better. That is, the humble realization that we have all let someone down at some point. Someone else's hurt. Every single one of us has missed seeing what we needed to see at the right time, and if we can open our hearts just a little bit to that truth, we start to understand the kind of mercy that frees everyone. This doesn't mean you get rid of limits. Forgiving someone without any conditions is not kindness. It's giving up on yourself. It's okay to forgive and move on. You can say no and forgive at the same time. You can forget and keep your energy safe at the same time. Now, though, you're not making those decisions out of anger. You're making them because you know what you want, for their own sake. From a calmness that knows not all love looks like being close. You also forgive the person you used to be, which is another part of this long process of forgiving. The person you were when you put up with things for too long, who didn't say anything, who knew there were warning signs but stayed anyway, who had no idea what to do. You can't punish yourself over and over again for not being as smart as you are now. They learned something. They were still alive. They were doing the best they could in a time they didn't fully understand yet. Give them a break. When forgiveness starts to live in your body instead of just your mind, it's real. When the name or sound of the person doesn't make you clench. When you don't have to hold your breath to remember what happened. When it's okay to talk about the past without getting lost in it. It takes time for this to happen. You can't just decide that it should happen. Over time, it happens because you care for the pain with patience, kindness, and the quiet choice to stop building your identity around a wound. Forgiving someone who hurt you is not a prize for them. It's an escape for the person who took on too much harm. It takes time, too. That's fine. Next time you feel angry at someone who hasn't changed, take a moment to calm down. Take deep breaths. Think about what it would be like to stop waiting for them to change before I opened up to them. What would it look like to let go and respect my own growth, even if they never catch up? In this way, being patient becomes an act of holy love, not for who they are, but for who they could become. Not in your time, but in the time of life, and that kind of love that lasts for years, through silence, through not knowing what will happen, might be the only way we can really forgive. Forgiving someone starts to stretch your whole being after you've learned to hold room for their growth over time. It's no longer just about one person. It changes how you deal with life in general. It makes the heart not only softer, but also slower. A more stable nerve system, a stronger ability to stay in the present moment during times that most people skip over or reject. And this is where the real practice starts, not in peace and quiet, in nature, or in ideal spiritual settings. It starts in traffic jams, checkout lines, elevators, missed trains, loud neighbors, and screens that take too long to load. This is where the new temples are. Now the question is this a place of sacredness? These days, life is busy. It goes quickly. It's meant to keep you reading, moving, and responding. It's like problems when there are delays. Problems are dealt with like they are issues, and your nervous system learns to be alert all the time, waiting, running, and getting ready. But learning to wait better isn't the real gift of Buddhist patience. The point is not to hate the wait. It means seeing each delay as a way to get back into the present moment, even when things are a mess, even when there's noise, even if everything around you seems to be moving quickly. Think about the last time you felt or were physically stuck. Could be in traffic. There might be a long line, maybe at a point in their lives where they just wouldn't move. The mind doesn't like these times. It wants them to go faster, get away, distract. What if those times weren't empty, though? What if they told you something you missed while you were busy? What if the quiet time is the holy one? One bell can bring everyone together in a Buddhist monastery. With one sound, everything stops moving. Not to punish, but to wake up, just to remind you, to let someone know you're here, you're still living, come back. That bell doesn't ring in the middle of a modern city, though, does it? The bell could be the red light. It could be the lift that doesn't come. It could be the person walking slowly in front of you. It could be the traffic jam you didn't want. This could be the bell if you train your mind to hear it that way. A lot of people think of delays as empty time, but they're really just limits. There are little times during the day when you don't have to do anything. You are only asked to be. Something changes when you stop fighting that. You take deeper breaths. Your shoulders loosen up. Your awareness grows. Suddenly, the moment you were trying to get away from is the same place you are now. It doesn't just happen this way. People still respond with impatience by default. You'll feel the anger rising up. Your mind will say, "This is a waste of time," but you know what to say. You see that there is pushback. You don't fight it. You breathe into it. After that, you look around. You can hear life, the way the light comes in through the window, the slow beat of your own heart. The time comes, and a new kind of thanks shows up in that space. Not for a big event, not to win some battle in the future, but for this, for the peace hidden in the chaos, for the slowness you didn't want but had to have, for reminding me that life isn't about how fast I can move, but how far I can see. It's not fun to act like being inconvenient is fun. Realizing that trouble isn't the enemy is what it's all about. When you fight it, it's When you let go of your anger, things get back to normal. And when things are that simple, the holy can be seen, not because things changed in the world, but because they did in your mind. Living your daily life this way is like meditating while you move. You can be awake even if you're not sitting in lotus. It's not necessary to burn incense or pray. In the middle of noise, you need to be aware. You need to be still when things are moving. You need mental room to meet the world without pushing it away. It's not so much about how long you can wait as it is about how fully you can stay. Are you able to stay when the meeting ends late? When the checker takes too long, can you still be nice? When your schedule gets messed up, can you stay open? This is the real question. These are the themes of today. It's not enough to just get through the chaos. You have to find beauty in it too. The way a baby laughs in a busy coffee shop. The way light bends when it hits a window that has been wet with rain. When you stop running, your breath stabilizes on its own. These times are already great and can't be made better. They're just waiting to be seen. And life gets better the more you notice it, not later or when things calm down, but right now in the noise. It changes how you see other people too. You should no longer expect everyone to go as fast as you do. Stop judging people who take longer than you. You can see that everyone is carrying weights that you can't see. Everyone is dealing with their own problems. All of a sudden you feel sorry for them instead of angry. You don't rush by them. You slow down and look at them. You see parts of yourself in them. And when you realize that, you can connect, even in silence and with people you don't know. Things start to change in the city itself. Things that were chaotic before start to feel alive. The traffic gets into a flow. The noise turns into a beat. The movement turns into a way to meditate. You should no longer look for peace outside of cities. You start to make it peaceful, and your presence adds to the holy feeling you were looking for. You don't need to have a perfect mind to do this technique. You only need to be ready to come back over and over. You'll forget. You'll become angry. You'll get stuck in old patterns. But every time you remember and choose to be present instead of angry, you build a muscle that will support you through all of life's changes. Because things won't always go slowly for you. You can learn to slow down in it, though. You can be the bell that rings out in the noise, the peace that lives inside the storm, the breath that keeps you steady when everything else wants to go fast. You learn something quietly deep the more you live this way. You don't have to run away from the world to find peace. You should slow down a little bit, since the holy isn't hidden. It's everywhere, in bells of temples, in traffic jams, at times when all that's asked of you is to be present while you wait. When you learn to find holiness in the breaks in your daily life, you start to notice something else that is quietly asking you to be patient. It's something deeper than traffic, longer than waiting rooms, and heavier than missing deadlines. What hasn't happened yet is the healing, the cut that hurts even when no one is around, the sadness that didn't go away just because time went by. This is the point at which patience stops being a virtue you show to other people and starts being a love you give to your own heart. Because some wounds just won't heal on their own, no matter how much you meditate, think, or try to move on. Timelines are an important part of modern life. What you deliver. Big steps. Charts for recovery. People are taught that time heals all scars, But most people are afraid to say the truth. Time doesn't heal everything. It doesn't move in a straight line, even when it does. There are different times of grief. Pain moves in a certain way. It gets harder to understand the process the more loss there is. You don't feel better after crying. It's not enough to let go and move on. There are times when you feel sad, silent, numb, angry, tender, and then sad again. Sometimes they happen all at once in the afternoon. Buddhism doesn't tell you to hide your pain right away. It wants you to bow down to it, to feel like a guest and sit with it, to let it teach you, not through words, but by being there, by being still, through the pain that you keep trying to get over. This is when inner patience turns into more than just endurance. It turns into trust. The kind of trust that doesn't need to see growth. The kind that thinks something is still getting better, even if it doesn't seem like it. Grief doesn't make sense. You can figure out what went wrong. It is clear that you were not to blame. You can write down everything you learned. Still, when you hear their name, your chest gets tight. Songs hurt your eyes for no reason. Like shadows you didn't want, your body holds memories that you can't quite get rid of. You're not broken because of this. That means you're a person. Giving yourself time to grieve means ending the quiet war you're having with your own schedule, that you won't compare your health to someone else's. It means not making yourself get over it, just because everyone else has nothing else to say. It means giving the wound space to heal, even if it's painful, embarrassing, or you thought you were done with this part already. It's not a ladder that heals, it's a spiral. You see the same places again, but this time with fresh eyes. With each return, things become clearer, the touch is softer, and the sadness is gentler. Even that is a part of the process. Something is being taken back, even when it feels like you're going backward. Something is being praised. This time, something is being felt with more depth. True patience with yourself means you stop asking your heart to be faster. Stop keeping track of your mental growth like a to-do list. Don't feel bad about how long this is taking, because healing doesn't happen to you. It happens to you. It opens up when it's time. Not when you're sick of being hurt. Not when being slow makes you feel bad about yourself. Not now that everyone else has moved on. You might keep going back to the same thoughts and telling yourself the same stories every time. You're not stuck because of that. It means that your body is still trying to break down something. It means that the feeling is still going through its cycle, and the story starts to change, not by force, but by space, when you stop trying to stop the pattern and just let it happen. Being patient in this way gives you a holy right to do something. It says, yes, cry again. Yes, I miss them again. Indeed, I'm once more confused. It says that being soft is not a bad thing. Today, your strength is showing up in a different way, and your nerve system starts to trust you more the more you make room for your own slowness. The less your body is ready for pain, the worse it feels. The deeper your breath gets, it's not because you forced it, but because you finally let it happen. Grief doesn't want you to fix it. It wants you to be there to see it. And as they watch, something changes, not right away, not at all clear, but really. When you stop trying to get rid of your sadness, it will no longer need to hold you so tightly. It moves. It starts to come apart. Its edges begin to come together. Not because you made them, but since you stayed. Being this patient with yourself makes you feel closer to yourself. You no longer run away from a messy heart. When it hurts, you don't have to force it to look like it's better when it's not. You become the only person who doesn't rush you. For that reason, getting better starts to feel less like a finish line and more like a bond with your own tenderness that lasts a lifetime. Some days, it will still feel like things went backwards. You'll feel heavy when you wake up. You'll move more slowly. You should hide. This time, you won't think that's wrong. You'll see it as part of the beat. It will be clear to you that healing can happen slowly, like roots growing in the winter. Not seen, but real. You'll stay warm anyway. You'll trust them anyway. This also changes how you deal with the pain of others. You won't try to fix someone who is sad when you love them. They won't have to rush through it. You will sit quietly next to them because you know that being there is more powerful than giving advice. "I'm here and I'm not going anywhere" is the most healing line in the world, not "here's what to do." You don't need the people you love to keep up with you. You gave their wounds time to heal. You stop seeing their breaks as problems and start seeing them as holy doors that lead to parts of life that most people never learn how to respect. And just like you learned to let your own pain be known, you start to let theirs be known. It changes how you think about strength too. No more equating power with being able to control your emotions. You start to see strength in the quiet bravery it takes to cry, to feel, not to bother, to keep showing up with an open heart even after it has been broken. You can tell you're strong not by how little you're harmed. It has to do with how much you can feel and still be whole. The wound that was there starts to move slowly. It wasn't fixed, though, but because people felt it, because people loved it, because someone held it well and stopped trying to get rid of it. You. That heals right away and stays healed. No one can take away that kind of growth. The scar might never go away completely, but it is now a hole in the wall where light can come in, not to get rid of the story, but to honor it. So take a moment the next time your heart starts to hurt again without notice. Take deep breaths. Don't call it a failure right away. Don't rush to get your mind off of things. Take a seat with it. Be gentle with it. Find out what it wants. Then pay attention, not to fix, but to see, to stay, not to get better, not to shut it down, but to say, "I'm not leaving. I have time for this." When you finally learn to accept your loss as it is, and stop trying to heal faster or feeling better just because the calendar has turned, something inside you starts to change. A new rhythm shows up, one that has nothing to do with clocks, society, or social norms. It's part of something bigger, something more, something that has been directing life since the beginning of time. This is how nature works. Most people have forgotten this lesson about patience. Nothing beautiful grows when the time is not right. Take a look at how things move in nature. In the winter, trees don't grow. During a drought, rivers don't flow quickly. The earth doesn't move faster just because someone or something tells it to. It goes through cycles, in honor of phases. It goes at its own pace. And the calmest, most stable, and most peaceful people aren't the ones who have pushed themselves to grow. They are the ones who have matched up with this other mind. There's a reason why mountains, rivers, seasons, and stars are often mentioned in old Buddhist texts. It's not just song lyrics, it's smart. Nature doesn't tell us to be slow, it does it for us. When your inner life and this outer knowledge start to match up, things start to feel more grounded, not as rushed. It was less like a race and more like a deep beginning. Think about what happens when you rush a season. The frost kills the seed if you put it too early. The fruit is bitter because you picked it too early. In your mental life, the same thing takes place. You don't really get better when you try to heal before your heart is ready. You burn out instead of bloom when you try to grow before you've had time to rest. When you try to speak truth before it's fully formed inside you, you make things more confusing than clear. To be in tune with nature, you have to honor both the winter and the spring inside you. It means not putting yourself down when you need time to relax, be quiet, stop working, and just be. That silence might not be rewarded by the world, but your spirit will, because roots are getting deeper under the quiet of winter. Energy is building up. Life is getting ready to show itself in a new way. You hurt what's trying to take shape if you stop it or dig it up just to see how it's going. It's hard to learn this lesson in a society that values constant output. We are told to bloom whenever we want to keep going, in order to always get things done. But the land doesn't bloom all the time. Trees of all kinds take a break. Their leaves fell off. What they did was leave their trees bare, not because they're failing, but because they know what they're doing. You are also free to move this way. You're welcome to have seasons. When you look inside yourself, when you shed. There are times when you can't answer. Sometimes you don't feel like doing much, and your talent goes to sleep. There's no reason to think these things are wrong. They mean that something important is coming together, making plans, becoming. And your inner world is much more peaceful when you stop fighting these processes. You don't freak out every time you're sad. When creativity stops coming, you don't try to make it come back. You don't talk about how slow your season is compared to someone else's yield. You know that everything happens at the right time. You shouldn't rush through it. Your job is to be present with it. Being present is what gets through the seasons. Making it seem like spring is a bad way to get away from winter. But if you get cozy, light a candle, breathe more slowly, and let the cold show you how to be still, you'll see that it wasn't trying to hurt you. It meant to bring you back home. Every season has something special to offer. Spring shows us how to rise or wake up after a rest. It teaches you how to shine, stretch, and grow during the summer. Autumn shows us how to let go with grace. Winter also teaches us how to rest, how to slow down, and how to listen deeply. All four are needed. You're all four, and you get off track if you try to live in just one. When you stop seeing your slow times as problems, it gets easier to be patient. When you stop telling yourself things like, "I should be over this by now," or "I need to be doing more." When you understand that something is always happening, even when it doesn't look like anything is, it's just not always where you look. Most people don't want to hear this, but some seasons last longer than you think they will. Some winters last longer. Some springs stop moving. You have no say over how quickly you heal. Just keep going, listening, and taking care of yourself the way you would take care of something holy in nature, kindly, all the time, but not by demanding that it be different. The way you set goals also changes because of this. Instead of making up fake dates, you start to ask yourself, what season am I in right now? What does this part of me really need? Maybe now is not the right time to start something. It might be time to get stronger. It might not be time to talk. It might be time to be still and watch what's happening. It might not be time to move forward yet. It might be time to go inside and take care of the dirt. You start to see that your mind also goes through different seasons. Times of peace, during times of chaos, when you get wise, quiet times. You should no longer be afraid of the quiet seasons. The fact that you're confused doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're ready for a new kind of knowledge. It's how things work. It will go by when it's time. This knowledge changes the way you talk to yourself. You stop saying, "I'm stuck," and start saying, "I'm in a winter." You stop thinking, "I should be doing more," and start asking, "What season is this part of my soul in, and how can I honor it?" This change can relieve years of stress that wasn't needed. Sometimes this rhythm is good for relationships too. You shouldn't always expect people to be the same. You let the people you care about have times when they pull away, are quiet, or grow in ways that you can't see. The way you treat their weather is similar to how you treat your own, and your love gets stronger because of that. Wait longer, more real. This connection brings you back to nature in a physical way as well. The sky changes in front of your eyes, what the trees say, the way the light changes during the day. You walk more slowly and deeply, getting your nervous system in line with the pace of something very old. But you feel more whole because you finally slowed down enough to remember who you were before all the stress. It's not because you changed everything. So the next time you feel like you're behind, bored, or not making progress, take a moment to stop. If you can, go outside. Look at a tree, a cloud, a stream. Take note of how nothing is in a hurry. Take note of how none of them say sorry for moving so quickly. That should be your teacher. Use that as a screen, and don't forget that the same mind that controls the seasons also controls you. You're not behind schedule. You're still on track. You are in a certain time. Believe it. Pay attention to it. Follow it. You won't have to look for peace. You will grow it. Life feels less like a race and more like a rhythm when you finally stop fighting your life seasons and start to respect them. The world around you doesn't always stop, even when you learn to slow down and rest when you need to. There are still deadlines. There are still emergencies. Still, quick choices need to be made. The next test of patience will come not in the quiet of winter, but in the heat of need. Now, the question is, can you stay calm when everything around you speeds up? Can you stay still while you move? The eye of the storm is a strong Buddhist image for this. The outer winds can be very rough. The noise, the stress, and the requests are all going in circles. But there is silence in the middle. No noise at all. It's not about getting away from the storm, it's about moving from the middle of that eye. To be fully involved, fully aware, and not swept away. This is what it means to keep your cool when things are happening quickly. To act without being scared. To be able to move without falling over. To be important without getting out of hand. A lot of people mix up speed and worry. They believe that if something needs to be done quickly, it must also involve stress, rushing, and mental overload. However, haste does not always mean imbalance. You don't have to lose your mind over something important just because it's important. The body can move quickly, The hands type quickly. It is easy for the mouth to talk. But what about the mind? The mind can stay still. This silence inside isn't a passive calm. There is a busy presence. You get it by teaching yourself not to let the need for speed take over your thoughts. You get it by learning how to move quickly while keeping your mind clear, your shoulders relaxed, and your breath deep. You start to understand that the real pain in urgent situations isn't the event itself, but how your mind responds to it. The fear, the thinking too much, the spread out attention, these things, not the job, wear you down. When was the last time you had a rough time? A real time of stress. Someone might need your help right away. Maybe there was no notice when a deadline fell. You might have had to act quickly because something broke. Now, think about how much of your tiredness was caused by the action and how much by the chaos inside your head that led up to it. The thoughts going in circles, the fear of not doing well, the energy that would not go away. It is taught on the Buddhist path that you should get rid of the fear, not the sense of urgency. In the same way that a firefighter runs calmly into a building that is on fire. The same way that a surgeon works quickly in the emergency room without letting the stress make their hands shake. Getting better at that kind of presence takes work. By breathing. In this way, the nerve system is trained to stay steady even when things are going quickly. Using your breath as a guide is one way to start doing this. When there is a sense of urgency, most people stop breathing, or they breathe quickly and shallowly. You can stay aware if you can keep your breath slow and steady, even if it's only for a few seconds. Instead of reacting, you give yourself a chance to answer. You put some time between the trigger and the choice you want to make. That's when wisdom has time to talk. Taking small steps at a time is another way to stay in the calm before the storm. The mind likes to get scared by putting a lot of things at once. I need to do this, then that, then figure out that, and then what if that goes wrong? This makes it seem like everything is falling apart at once. You can only do one thing at a time, though, and your mind calms down when you fully commit to that one thing. Instead of being scared, you move carefully. This also means giving up the drama habit. There are people who feed off of the chaos in their minds. They think that being rushed means being important, but that rush of adrenaline makes you fall down finally. Strong people don't have to yell. Being present doesn't have to be crazy. And when you stop needing to be stressed out to feel alive, you can feel a deeper kind of energy, one that can be kept up. Also, urgency shows what habits you have. When things move faster, the patterns in your mind become stronger. Do you get cold? Do you lash out? When you do a lot of things at once, do you lose focus? These habits aren't bad morals, they're just natural responses. And every important event turns into a chance to meet those patterns with awareness. To not judge, not to shut down, but in order to see well, to take a deep breath and say, "Ah, there it is again. Pick something else. Act from where you are." This habit also keeps your relationships safe. A lot of the time, people hurt each other when they are stressed. The words get stronger, the tone drops, patience runs out. But if just one person in the room stays still, breath steady, voice calm, the whole deal changes. The conflict calms down, answers come more quickly, trust grows. And it only takes one person to make the place calm. You should be that person. You start to trust yourself more over time. Not because you don't want to face problems, but because you've taught your system to stay steady when it does. When things get tough, you know what to do. You don't fall apart. You stay in the middle. You take deep breaths. That's it. You move. For the same reason, you heal faster, because your nerve system wasn't damaged. Even high-stakes situations like public speaking, last-minute changes, and intense fights can be turned into chances to get better. You learn how to deal with the rush without losing your cool. No matter how much energy you feel, it doesn't own you. It stops being a force that breaks you and turns into energy you can use. You can see things very clearly when you're calm inside. You can see better when everyone else is running. You use clear language. You do smart things. And the things you do have more of an effect because you're not acting out of fear. Not because you move the fastest, but because you move from the middle. People start to depend on you. And that is a very rare way to lead. At some point, you stop being scared of being late at all. You no longer dread things that happen quickly. You let them in. You're present in the chaos, not because you want to, but because you believe you can handle it. You know how to stay calm when things get rough. After that, even the most intense moment is just another wave to ride. It's no longer something to run away from, but something to meet with full attention. So stop when life gets too fast. Feel your feet. Take your shoulders down. Take a deep breath in. Then do something, but not out of fear or habit. Do it from the still, quiet place inside you that doesn't move, even when the world around you does. When you learn to stay calm in fast-paced situations, a new chance comes up that changes not only how you move through the world, but also how you connect with other people in it. Being truly patient is more than just being able to handle situations or keep your cool when things get tough. It changes the way you listen. It changes every exchange. Because being truly present isn't about how fast you act, but about how well you can hear. Listening takes a lot of time in a world where everyone is in a hurry to talk. A strong stop that can make everything different. A lot of people don't pay attention. They are waiting to talk. They think about what they will say next while the other person is still talking. They nod nicely, but they don't see what's really being said. And when they do that, they miss the real talk, which is going on between the words, in the tone, and during the breaks. But Buddhist patience teaches that listening is more than just being polite. It's an act of love. Giving up is what it means. It means letting something bigger than your own thoughts into your heart. You let go of your plans when you really listen. You didn't have to rush to get your point across. You step into the space between words and make it big enough for something new to start. In that place, you can live in understanding. That's the place where kindness grows. That's the place where healing takes place. You don't jump to solve when you listen as a holy delay. You don't speak up right away. You don't think you know what's being said already. It makes you uncomfortable to not know yet. You feel a little weird when you let someone finish talking before you think of what to say in response. People don't often get the gift of being fully seen, fully heard, and fully allowed. In that moment, you give them that gift. This way of listening changes conversations because the goal is no longer to win or impress, but to bond. You're not trying to steer the talk toward a result that you already know you want. You're letting it happen in real time, like a river finding its way. You're not reacting to what you think or expect, but to what is really there. One way to develop this kind of patience is to listen without ownership, which means that when someone talks, you don't make it about you right away. You shouldn't take over their story with your own. You don't give advice unless someone asks you to. You stay with their experience as it is, without trying to change it or claim it as your own. Not many people listen like this, and strong, and very good for you. Listen to the silence as well as the words is another thing you can do. What people don't say is often just as important as what they do. The breaks. There were pauses, the changes in voice. When you can wait long enough to hear these, you start to understand people better than you thought possible. Behind their anger, you can hear fear. Their sadness was hidden by their snark. Behind the bravado was their desire. You can meet them there, not with fixing, but with being there, because you hear it. This way of talking improves not only personal ones, but also business ones, when we meet. Talking about deals, when there are disagreements. Most of the time, the person who listens the most gets to the heart of what people really need better than anyone else. They see answers that other people miss. Some people can't build trust like they can, because people want more than just to be heard. They want to be known for their thoughts. They want to feel like they are more than just their act. By listening deeply, you give them that. It's not always easy, though. To listen with patience, you have to face your own restlessness. Your thoughts will want to move quickly. It will want to get in the way. It will want to fix. There is an unseen muscle of presence that you build every time you notice that urge and choose to stay quiet instead. This is a muscle that will help you in every part of your life, not just talks. Listening can be hard when you hear things that you don't agree with, things that make you angry, things that make you want to fight back right away. When you listen with holy attention, you let the other person's truth exist, even if it differs from your own. You don't need to agree. That being said, you respect their right to feel and think what they want without trying to change it right away. And by doing that, you make room for real dialogue, not debate, to happen. This patience also keeps you from getting into fights that aren't necessary. A lot of fights happen not because people don't agree, but because they never feel like they're being fully heard. They get worse because the real need, which was to be recognized, honored, and understood, was not met. When you meet that need early on by listening deeply, you can stop a lot of problems before they start. It changes you to listen in this way, which you'll notice over time. It makes you feel better. It makes you more empathetic. It makes your instincts stronger. Not because you learned more, but because you let more humanity into your mind. You become less reactive, more compassionate, and smarter. You know that attention isn't just sitting there. It is very busy. This is an offering. It's a kind of service. This is a big deal in a world where everyone is in a hurry to be faster, smarter, and louder. It says, I value you enough to set aside my own urgency, my own story, my own ego, and make space for you to be here. You can also hear yourself differently when you listen as holy delay. You become more aware of your inner thoughts and don't try to shut them down right away. Your confidence is being spooked by fear. The kindness you hide behind your anger. What you laugh about is the sadness that can be heard. You listen to yourself with the same care you use with other people, and your connection with yourself gets stronger, better, and more complete. That's why you should stop the next time you say something. Drop the need to be seen as good. Remember to slow down your reaction to fix. Write down your concern so that it's clear, and instead, offer to be there. Listen not only to the words, but also to what they mean. Listen with your whole heart, not just your ears. Know this: when you do this, you are practicing one of the highest forms of patience, the patience to stay, to receive, and to honor the sacredness of another person's story as it unfolds without having to be rushed into a shape that works better for you. As you learn to truly listen, both to others and to yourself, you begin to understand how much wisdom there is in stopping. A more minor problem also comes up, though, and if you don't notice it, it can stop real growth in its tracks. What seems like patience isn't always patience at all. Avoiding something by waiting isn't always a good idea. Silence isn't always empty. Sometimes it's just fear hiding in plain sight. Buddhism wants you to really think about this very thin line between putting off spiritual work and delaying it wisely. That's why real patience comes from being strong. Fear is where fake patience comes from. It can change everything to know the difference. You can tell yourself you're being patient when you're really just trying to avoid making a choice. At the core, trusting the process is really just a way to avoid taking responsibility. It's not always smart to wait. Not all not doing anything is spiritual. Some of it is just fear dressed up in nice words, but it still comes from a place of resistance. It's an art to be able to tell the difference between when your delay is clean and aware and when it's dirty with unconscious avoidance. Delaying in a smart way feels different from putting things off. Clear thinking lies beneath wise wait. There's no need to wait, you know. You are now engaged. You're waiting for the right moment to speak in life. You're still doing things. On the other hand, putting things off feels sticky. It's heavy. It's like closing your eyes and wishing the problem goes away. Giving up your power while acting like you trust the world feels like giving up your power. Being uncomfortable is one of the most obvious signs that you are putting off spiritual work, not the discomfort of having to wait, which is common, the discomfort of knowing you should do something but not doing it. You feel tense when your inner knowledge says, "It's time," but your fear says, "No, later, not yet, maybe tomorrow." Delaying things wisely brings peace. Putting off spiritual tasks causes stress that won't go away completely. How hard it is to explain why you are waiting is another sign. You don't have to defend waiting when you don't need to. You do not need 100 reasons to say why you have not done anything. It's clear to me inside, but I can't see it from the outside. But when you put things off, you end up saying too much. You make up complex stories about yourself to hide the truth. You're scared. You can't move. You're not giving in. One of the most self-compassionate things you can do for yourself is to face this truthfully. Not to make you feel bad about yourself, not to push yourself to do something dangerous. You should ask yourself, am I waiting out of fear or because I know what's best? And to have the guts to listen to the real truth. Wise delay takes time into account without avoiding duty. It knows when to act and when not to act in response to life. There are times when the strongest thing you can do is nothing. The same way a seed waits for the right time of year to sprout, like a shooter who waits for the right moment to let go of their breath. If you act too soon, it won't work out. If you wait too long to act, you will miss the mark. If you listen deeply, you'll know exactly when to act, and when that time comes, you act without any doubt. But people who put things off often use fake spiritual reasons to do so. You say, "I'm waiting for a sign," but you know what to do next. You're just afraid to do it. If you say, "The universe will show me," then life has already given you the chance. You're just not looking. You're not wrong to wait for help, but help doesn't always come from a loud voice in the sky. It can be scary to listen to your inner voice because it wants you to grow. To learn how to tell the difference between smart delay and avoidance, you need to get to know your nervous system well. When you use wise wait, you feel like your body has more space. Your chest stays open and your breath stays deep, even if the outside world isn't clear. Putting things off feels like being squeezed, as if you didn't breathe, like pulling away from your own strength. You also start to see what the waiting is giving you. A smart pause will help you see clearly. It makes your instincts stronger. It makes your connection stronger. Your roots get stronger every day you wait. Putting off spiritual tasks adds to the uncertainty. You feel lost, uncertain, and small every day that you wait. When you're on a spiritual road, this difference is very important. The ego loves to take good lessons and use them as safe places for itself. It loves to turn giving up into being passive. It loves to make people unable to wait. Being aware can easily turn into a never-ending state of observation without any action. Being spiritual doesn't make you less important. It helps you see better, kind, more ready to face life instead of running away from it. How do you practice smart delay without putting things off spiritually? To begin, be completely honest with yourself. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't act fake. Ask yourself every time you decide to wait, is this going to come from strength or fear? You'll feel strong even if it's uncomfortable if it's strength. You'll feel stuck if it's fear. Second, by checking your energy often. Waiting wisely doesn't wear you down. It keeps you going. It's like putting water into a well instead of watching it dry out. If while you're waiting, you feel more tired, helpless, and critical of yourself, that's a sign that something isn't right. Third, by making a promise to be present even when nothing is happening. Waiting does not mean cutting off. For things to ripen, you have to stay fully awake. Keeping an open mind. Keeping in touch with your true self. Keeping in touch with what you know better. Lastly, by being ready to act when the time is right. It's only wise to wait if it leads to smart action. You pay attention to the quiet click inside that tells you now, even if you're scared. No matter how difficult it is, no matter what it asks of you. What you learned about being patient while you waited will give you the strength to act then. Being able to move on from deep listening changes how you see life in general. Stop letting outside forces move you around. You stop being frozen by fear inside you. You learn to go with the flow of time that is bigger than your own needs. So what you do has more weight because of that. More specifics, more truth.